This is an era of mutated flora and fauna, where humans coexist in parallel as they are no longer the masters of the Earth. When the space portal connecting to another world is opened every day, peaceful life will become extremely dangerous. Fortunately, in times of crisis, a part of humanity has awakened the ability to control mutated creatures, and those people are called illusion beast masters. The mutated creatures they possess are called illusion beasts. This young man was once an incredibly talented illusion beast master, a shining star in the world of illusion beast masters. However, during one careless moment, he was betrayed by the person he trusted the most, Xiao Lei. This scoundrel intended to murder both An Yang and his illusion beast, but arranged the situation to look like an accident so that everyone would believe An Yang had died in a disaster-level illusion beast rampage. As his consciousness faded, An Yang swore that if he got a second chance, he would not allow anyone to harm him or his illusion beast Xiaobai again. And it seems that fate has heard the plea of this unfortunate man as An Yang opened his eyes once more, waking up in his familiar bed. At first, he thought he was still alive after being harmed by Xiao Lei. However, at that moment, the TV was broadcasting news about the third season of the Illusion Beast selection competition, which took place when he was only 17 years old. At this point, An Yang realized that, to be more precise, he had been reborn back to his school days. Moreover, upon his revival, he also carried the spirit power of the god Sovereign from his previous life. This is already too unscientific, but since the appearance of illusion beasts in the world is possible, then his rebirth is not impossible. Just as this thought crossed his mind, An Yang heard rustling sounds right beside him. Grabbing the blanket, he flipped it over, and the sight before him left An Yang stunned as a beautiful girl with white hair, completely naked, lay right in front of him. After assessing the situation, An Yang realized that the beautiful white-haired girl was Xiao Bai, his illusion beast. She had also been reborn. But why did she turn into such a stunning girl that could make someone nosebleed? Normally, illusion beasts have two forms, combat form and normal form. But An Yang had never heard of them having a human form. Even Xiao Bai could not explain this. She only knew that after the explosion caused by Xiao Lei when she woke up, she had transformed into this form. The strange thing is that Xiao Bai clearly felt a surge of power within her, but no matter how hard she tried, she could not revert to her original dragon form. However, after transforming into a human, she now had two soft lumps, which was quite a surprise. Xiao Bai did not realize that what she referred to as two soft lumps was a woman's breasts, so she kept fondling them, causing An Yang to have another nosebleed. "Quick, get your hands off! Give it to me!" he shouted loudly. It's unclear how the two ended up wrestling on the sofa after that. At that moment, Untrung Endung's younger sister had just returned from school. When she opened the door wide, she saw her brother pinning a strange girl down on the sofa. Furthermore, the girl had a very seductive face and asked, "Why don't you continue?" As a result, Endung got beaten up by his sister for bringing a girl home to do inappropriate things, to the point that his face was all swollen. With no other choice, Endung had to make up a more plausible story. The story goes like this. Bak Tu Lung is a friend of mine, and her family has encountered some issues recently, so she is temporarily staying with us for a few days. Trung seemed not very happy, but anyway, this story was more believable than the reincarnation tale that Andung had experienced. However, at that moment, Andung's face suddenly turned pale, because he heard sounds of shouting, calling for death, filled with a terrifying, murderous aura in his head. Indeed, this was the voice of the chaotic tide phantom beast, which Andung thought he was hallucinating. It turned out that the sound was coming from the television as the news was broadcasting hot updates at 4 p.m. today. On Long Bin Commercial Street, a Level D chaotic tide phantom beast appeared, prompting the nearby residents to evacuate immediately. That commercial street in Long Bin just happened to be located near Andung's house. At this moment, it was in chaos. The leader of the chaotic tide phantom beasts this time was Than Ba Tik, a very aggressive Level D mutated creature. Despite the military firing crazily, it showed no signs of being affected. Not to mention, Than Ba Tik also received support from many other monsters, making the suppression effort increasingly difficult. Many soldiers had been thrown away by it. Both its attack and defense capabilities exceeded the military's expectations, leading to their firepower being insufficient to control this chaotic tide phantom beast. Perhaps because it was a white hybrid lizard, such high defense is rarely seen in a Level D chaotic tide phantom beast leader. A female voice rang out amidst the chaos. It was Luke Tin Hong, a master-level phantom beast master. the captain of the 3rd team of the defense team in Kwanglan City D. Her phantom pet was Ambao. After finishing a cigarette, Luke Tin-hong rushed to the front lines with her phantom beast, while other soldiers retreated to focus on distracting Than Ba Tik Luke Tin-hong, despite being a girl charged forward valiantly. The sword in her hand struck right at Than Ba Tik's throat, causing it to let out a painful scream. Luke Tin-hong was thrown back by the monster, but quickly returned to continue fighting. However, after several rounds of fighting with this phantom beast, Luke Tin-hong finally understood why it was so terrifying. It was because Than Ba Tik was a mutated phantom beast. Doong, relying on his previous life's experience, also guessed that the leader of the chaotic tide this time was of the mutated type, which is why the defense team took so long to deal with it. It's true that if Than Ba Tik attacks their home, it won't be good at all. Therefore, you have to stop this for your own safety and that of your loved ones. Thinking this, Doong went out to the balcony to observe the situation in the neighborhood, which was now engulfed in smoke and fire. He thought to himself that perhaps if he just suppressed the pressure of his spiritual power a little, no one would notice his location. "Damn humanity, I will wipe you all out," Than Ba Tik shouted furiously without stopping. His constant repetition of these 2 sentences made Doong very anxious. He then released his own spiritual power. Although the distance was quite far, with the strength of a god-class, Doong was still able to make Than Ba Tik hesitate. At that moment, Luke Tin-hong was also very perceptive and immediately realized that the situation with the mutated beast had stopped. This was a good opportunity, and she quickly ordered her team members to use firepower to attack directly at the beast's jaw and throat. The defensive troops thus regained the advantage. In an instant, Luke Tin-hong felt the pressure of the god-class spiritual power, even if it was just very brief. Now, thinking calmly, Luke Tin-hong really wasn't sure if it was an illusion or not. Meanwhile, at Doong's house, the one who had directly influenced the recent situation, after seeing that the space had quieted down significantly, felt a bit more at ease, as he guessed that the defensive team could handle the remaining matters. Therefore, he went back inside to reassure his sister and Bok Teo-lung. "The rampaging beast will be dealt with quickly. Everyone just stay calm inside the house." So fast. Chung was still worried, but seeing his brother so confident made him feel a bit more at ease. After that, Jung began to arrange sleeping places. Since Teobuk was here today, she would sleep in the living room tonight. "No, Bok Teo-lung can jump up easily. I want to sleep with the master." "Ma'am." "Don't even dream." Chung didn't know Bok Teo-lung's true identity, so in this situation he became even more suspicious of the relationship between the two. The rampaging beast was completely controlled not long after restoring peace to the Long Bin neighborhood in City D. That night at the Beast Control Center in this area, 2 staff members began their patrol. "Guess how much we can earn from tomorrow's inspection?" One person spoke first. "It depends on how the higher-ups do. They just eat us and sip a bit of soup," the other replied. "Outwardly, they say they are responsible for ensuring the safety of the students, but in reality, those evaluators are only responsible for bringing students into the exam. If I were to do it, I could do it too." The man was saying this when suddenly he heard a very loud splash. He turned around in shock and discovered that his colleague had disappeared, leaving only the uniform cap floating on the swamp. After that, he himself couldn't protect himself from the monster that dragged his colleague down into the lake. That incident did not affect the examination the next day at the Illusion Beast Academy. Jung and Bok Teo-lung arrived here very early. The atmosphere here is extremely lively. It seems no different from the previous life. The number of students coming here for the exam is indeed very large. The student examination is said to be the first threshold for students to awaken their spiritual power, stepping into the door of Illusion Beastmasters, but in reality it is to assess the capabilities of the freshmen from different schools, serving as a basis for distributing educational resources. This means that this examination is not only a competition among new students, but also a fierce battle between universities. New students will be randomly assigned to different Illusion Beast areas. Normally, they only need to tame a normal level 1 Illusion Beast to qualify as a level 1 Illusion Beast Master. "Master, let's go home and sleep. I'm so sleepy," Bok Teo-lung said loudly, pulling on Doong's sleeve, disinterested in this competition. The term master is indeed easy to misunderstand, and they were noticed by some other students because of it. Doong was extremely embarrassed. Clearly, they had agreed beforehand that if there were other people around, they would just need to call him by name. Yet Bok Teo-lung insisted on not listening to him, stating that when they were out, they should just call him by name. This was the master's command, An Dung said seriously. All right then. Bak Tu-lung pouted in response. Their conversation was interrupted when An Dung heard another girl's voice calling him. Turning around, he found it was Tam Mong Jiao, the principal's daughter. She was the first friend that An Dung and An Trung met at the orphanage, and he and Tam Mong Jiao were also considered childhood sweethearts. I finally found you. You must do your best in today's competition, Tam Mong Jiao said, her tone and gestures very gentle. As soon as An Dung saw her, his eyes lit up. Thank you, Mong Jiao, you too, Bak Tu-lung observed from the side. She was just a newly transformed illusion beast, still not understanding many things. So she felt that Tam Mong Jiao's smile was very strange and thought that this girl had improper intentions towards her master. After greeting An Dung, Tam Mong Jiao turned to Bak Tu-lung. This is the little white you mentioned on the phone yesterday, right? Hello there. Tam Mong Jiao responded, and Bak Tu-lung promised loudly, leaving the other party astonished. An Dung was extremely embarrassed, quickly explaining that Bak Tu-lung hadn't gotten enough sleep last night, so her mind was a bit sluggish and dazed. He also thanked Tam Mong Jiao for helping him qualify for the exam. For Bak Tu-lung, no need to be polite. It's rare for you to actively seek me out for help. I'm actually quite pleased. Tam Mong Jiao's demeanor made An Dung feel as if he was standing before an angel. Indeed, whether in this life or the previous one, she has always been so kind. Originally, I wanted to talk a bit more, but the next top students are about to start the exam, so Tam Mong Jiao urged him and Bak Tu-lung to hurry to the registration hall. At this moment, An Dung remembered something important, then pulled Tu-bak to leave together. Tam Mong Jiao watched the backs of the two, and the smile on her face gradually became distorted. It turned out she wasn't really an angel, just someone good at pretending. Tam Mong Jiao stroked Wu Min, the illusion pet, that had signed a contract with her, then gritted her teeth and said, "This is really a headache." Suddenly, someone unfamiliar jumped out of nowhere. How could she make him see only her? Yu Min could clearly sense its owner's emotional state and thought to itself, "It's happening again." At the exam site, An Dung had finished registering. Fortunately, it wasn't too late. Now he and Bak Tu-lung just needed to wait for the exam announcement. But just then a girl suddenly bumped straight into him. Seeing that the other person was in a hurry, her eyes seemed to be watery. The important thing was that An Dung found the other person very familiar. It seemed he had met her in a past life. "I told you to let the teacher help you, didn't I? You bumped into someone now?" Following the girl was a big man. Seeing the scrutinizing gaze from An Dung, the man explained that the girl had low blood pressure, so he was planning to take her to the infirmary. However, seeing the girl's terrified, trembling demeanor, An Dung felt that this was not simple at all. "Let me take you to rest, okay? You probably don't want to underperform in the exam later, right?" The big man whispered into the girl's ear, causing her to immediately lose her will to resist. An Dung watched their backs, feeling a mix of thoughts in his heart. He was not someone who liked to meddle, but that man really did not look like a good person at all, and others who saw this scene turned a blind eye. If he didn't intervene, that girl's life would likely suffer a great deal of harm. So without thinking further, An Dung rushed over to push the fat man away, then pretended to know the girl and started a conversation. "Oh, wow, isn't this the granddaughter of my classmate's husband living next door? I wasn't careful enough to recognize you earlier. Sorry about that. Since we're acquaintances, there's no need to trouble the teacher anymore. Let me take her to the infirmary. Tu-bak, let's go." While speaking, An Dung pulled the girl away. The fat man was extremely angry, but An Dung told the girl to keep going straight ahead, not to look back. However, the other party had no intention of letting the two retreat safely. The man stood up straight, then pointed at An Dung and shouted, "Stop! I'm taking both of you. You two don't know each other. I see you deliberately bumping into the examiner. Do you have any evidence for that?" And Duong suddenly turned around, looking very confident, clearly not intimidated by the previous remarks. The fat guy, suddenly caught off guard when questioned back by him, ended up speechless. Just then Lai Fa, the head judge of the Long Bin area, arrived. This is also a master-level illusion beast tamer who seemed to have been attracted by the noise here. As soon as Lai Fa arrived, the fat guy showed a fawning expression, hurried over to report on Duong, claiming he was deliberately causing trouble and negatively affecting the exam. After hearing this, Lai Fa was whispered to by the illusion beast tamer beside him with a few more words. So this person turned to An Duong and interrogated, "Does that mean you know this girl?" "Of course, I not only know Luke Dada, but also know her preferences." An Duong confidently replied while the girl was startled to find out he knew her name. Then An Duong continued. Luke Da likes durian-flavored chocolate, enjoys reading fanfics about strong men written by WWE, likes the smell of her own feet, and also enjoys pranking people while they are asleep. He and Bok Tu-lung listed a series of Luke Da's preferences, but none of them seemed normal, making the girl blush deeply. Li Fa found the previous words very convincing and declared, "All right, if that's the case, then I think this is just a misunderstanding. Everyone, please disperse." The fat guy didn't achieve his goal initially, wanting to object, but when he met Li Fa's icy gaze, he dared not say anything more. The story ended here, and the crowd began to disperse. Not long after, an announcement was made stating that in 5 minutes, the judges would take the students to their corresponding exam areas according to the list requesting students to prepare. Additionally, during the examination process, electronic cameras will closely follow the contestants to record everything. In other words, every move they make will be monitored, so actions like using prohibited drugs to tame illusion beasts will be strictly banned. If discovered, their eligibility to compete will be immediately revoked. An Duong, Bok Tu-lung, and Luke Da were all assigned to the swamp area. In the previous life, he and Tiu Bok fought against each other almost their entire lives, so they were very familiar with each other. And Duong instructed her that when the illusion beasts appeared later, she just needed to subdue them like before. Bok Tu-lung's eyes lit up upon hearing this. "Can we eat them?" "Unfortunately not," An Duong replied, making Bok Tu-lung visibly disappointed. Afterwards, Luke Da also thanked An Duong for helping her out earlier, and casually asked how he knew her name. Upon hearing the question, An Duong became awkward. He couldn't say that he had been reincarnated and brought memories from his previous life, so he could only make up a reason. "Well, earlier in the hall I heard someone call out your name, so I remembered. But I didn't see anyone call me, did I?" Luke Da continued to wonder. There wasn't. She probably didn't hear that. If she heard it, she would know, and if she doesn't know it, proves she didn't hear it. An Duong replied painfully. "You can't say that in her past life she was the captain of Team 3 in the D-City defense team who had stopped quite a few beasts, and you even awarded her an outstanding work prize. I didn't expect the captain of Team 3, Luke Da, known for her cold demeanor, to have such a cute weakness in her youth in her past life." When An Duong reached this point, Luke Da wanted to ask more, but was interrupted by another boy. "Did you three offend the judge, which is why you were assigned to this place?" "Are you talking about Judge Ngo?" the three of them replied in unison. "No, I mean the main judge." At the same time in the monitoring room, Li Fa was sitting in front of the screen watching. His secretary just entered the office to report that the students participating in the 131st exam had entered the examination hall. After about a minute, the exam will officially begin. After that, hesitating for a moment, Li Fa became impatient and replied, "If you have something to say, just say it directly." "Chief Examiner, are we really opening the swamp area for students to take the exam?" B. Even if we exert all our effort to tame the illusion beast to pass the exam, the subsequent promotion exam will still be the target of attention. Luke Da was very confused after hearing this because clearly just a moment ago, Li Fa had concluded that it was all just a misunderstanding. He just doesn't want us to expose that judge in front of the crowd. "Don't tell me you think that fat guy really intends to take you to the medical room to rest," An Duong bluntly said, making Luke Da feel both embarrassed and scared when recalling the feeling at that moment when the other party was stammering to apologize. An Duong suddenly moved closer to pat her head once, then gently reassured, "The one who should apologize isn't, you don't worry." Luke Da felt even more embarrassed in this situation. Her cheeks unconsciously flushed, and then she took a step back. "Okay, thank you." In fact, An Duong was not surprised to find himself assigned to this troublesome swamp area. That fat judge did bad things with female students, so casually proving that this wasn't the first time he had done such a thing, yet he could still be safe until now. This is inevitably related to the umbrella above which is Li Fa. Compared to the arguments in the exam room that could lead to An Duong's group exposing him, Li Fa chose to pretend to mediate so that they would lower their guard. After hearing his analysis for a while, the boy shouted indignantly, "What are you kidding? I just accidentally stained the main judge's clothes. Why am I being brought to this place with you guys? It's not hard to realize that the male student is just a weak person who doesn't want to be targeted, but the reality is that he is now pinned down like the others and can only accept the fact that he will have to compete in this swamp area." Lu Da, seeing the other party so mentally distressed, spoke up to reassure, Perhaps the exam isn't as difficult as we imagine. This swamp is so large, there will definitely be low-level phantom beasts that are easy to tame. Just as she finished speaking, there was a commotion on the surface of the swamp. Then something gliding over the water came rushing in like flying, and Duong was the first to react quickly, calling everyone to retreat. Liu Da couldn't run fast enough, and was even successfully carried away like a princess by Bok Tu-lung. At this point, all four of them clearly saw the cause of the commotion. It was one of the most difficult phantom beasts to tame in the Long Bin exam, the black gold snake at legendary level 1 star, a hybrid creature of the water element. The bespectacled male student panicked upon seeing it and burst into laughter. Just at the beginning, encountering the black gold snake at legendary level, he had lost all hope. Meanwhile, An Duong was extremely troubled. Cameras were positioned everywhere to the left and right behind him. It was clear that those observing through the cameras wanted to see them tortured to the brink of death before sending someone to rescue. With the power of the divine horse Yang, he carried upon resurrection. Dealing with that snake was not difficult, but doing so would reveal his and Bok Tu-lung's mysterious identities. Because on the records, An Duong was only a primary awakened individual. By then, he would not only have to explain his spirit power exceeding levels, but if not careful, he could also expose Bok Tu-lung's secret of being a phantom beast, transformed into a human, leading to her being captured for experiments. At the same time, at the headquarters of the Crazy Orchid Defense Force in City D, Luke Tin Hong was reporting to her superior Trong 3 Vong, the captain of the Crazy Orchid Defense Team, and a level Divine Beastmaster about the Phantom Beast incident from yesterday afternoon. However, more importantly, Luke Tin Hong suspected that there was a level Divine Beastmaster appearing nearby. That was the main thing she wanted to report. After thinking carefully, Luke Tin Hong felt that the moment Fan Ba Tik mutated and was suddenly suppressed was not just her illusion, and the person who could do it had to be at least a level Divine Beastmaster or higher. After hearing this, Trong 3 Vong fell into silence as level Divine Beastmasters were currently receiving orders from the state to go to the wilderness area to handle the afternoon's phantom beasts. According to the theory, it should not appear in this Long Bin area unless a high-level awakened person shows up. But the situation is still unclear, so Jiang 3 advised Liu Xinghong to temporarily keep that information secret. At the same time, we need to pay more attention to what happens in the Long Bin area to find more clues about that mysterious person. Back at Anyang's place, he was still struggling with Hakim's release, as he couldn't unleash his true power. Meanwhile, Liu Dada's spiritual power is still too weak, almost unable to affect that monster. The male student is needless to say. In front of the black gold snake, he was so scared that his legs turned to jelly and he couldn't even stand up to fight. Then suddenly this young man took out a strange potion from his bag and smiled weirdly. "That's right, I have this. Just use it, and even if it's a legendary level illusion beast, I can give it a try." However, as soon as he said this, An Yang knocked him out. I knew that guy had some strange stuff hidden on him, and based on the content after using this, the black gold snake would definitely go crazy. In that case, it would be better to use it on Xiaobai instead. Thinking of this, An Yang threw it to Bai Xiaolong, but unfortunately she missed catching that strange potion which ultimately flew straight into the throat of that monster, and it immediately swallowed it. As for An Yang, he turned to stone directly. Then, as expected, the black gold snake went insane. The camera at the scene was immediately destroyed by it. At this moment, Li Fa began to sweat coldly. If something really happened to An Yang and the others, he would be the one held responsible. Li Fa immediately requested to strengthen the defenses in other test areas while bringing a team of illusion beast tamers with him to the scene. But the camera being broken might not be a bad thing for An Yang, because now he and Bai Xiaolong could freely show their strength. Liu Dada was extremely frightened to see the black gold snake fall into a frenzy. Tears started to well up and he kept mumbling, "Why is this happening? The potions said to tame high-level illusion beasts are mostly just to deceive fools." An Yang explained, and it was clear who the fool he was referring to was. Conveniently, An Yang called Liu Dada to quickly take that young man away. After all, he was already scared out of his wits. Staying would only be a nuisance. Liu Dada was very worried, fearing that he and Bai Xiaolong wouldn't be able to handle the black gold snake, but An Yang remained very calm. After all, the camera was already broken, making things much easier to handle. Bai Xiaolong had been holding back for a while and was itching to take action, so An Yang entrusted her with full authority to handle this case. Bai Xiaolong was very excited because this was her first opportunity to test her strength after being revived in human form. The black gold snake paused for a second to gather momentum, then opened its mouth and spat out a large fireball. Bai Xiaolong was not afraid at all. On the contrary, she was even a bit overly excited. She focused her strength in the palm of her hand, then delivered a punch that hit her opponent's head, causing it to drop immediately. Looking at this overwhelming scene, An Yang was extremely satisfied. It seems that Bai Xiaolong's strength was not affected in human form. After knocking down that black gold python, Bai Xiaolong added a few more punches, causing the beast to hurt so much it wanted to cry. But An Yang calculated the time in his mind, guessing that the judge would probably be arriving soon. To avoid unnecessary troubles, he called for Bai Xiaolong to finish the fight quickly and completely resolve the situation. She was somewhat disappointed as she hadn't even started playing, but who could argue with the master's words? So, right after that, when Lu Dada was helping the male student flee, a huge explosion occurred behind them with a destructive force like a nuclear bomb. Lu Dada anxiously turned her head back, fearing that something might happen to An Yang's group at that moment. As soon as she saw him, Li Pa let out a breath, knowing she was saved. She happily said that there were still 2 contestants at the scene, asking the teachers to come rescue them quickly. Li Pa nodded, then handed Lu Dada and the male student over to her secretary. All the remaining people rushed into the scene with him. However, even a master-level illusion beast, tamer like him, knew that the power of a legendary-level illusion beast in a frenzy was not something an ordinary person could resist. Therefore, Li Pa thought that the 2 remaining contestants were likely in serious trouble. If that were the case, he would definitely encounter great trouble. However, reality proved the opposite when a large hole was created at the center of the recent explosion. In the middle of the hole, the black gold python lay defeated in a pile, while Bai Xiaolong was still haggling with An Yang, asking for permission to eat it. "I advise you to give up that thought," An Yang whispered, thinking that this girl was indeed troublesome after turning into a human. Luckily, Li Pa arrived just then. Otherwise, Bai Xiaolong would probably continue pestering him. When Li Pa arrived, seeing that the black gold python had been defeated and the 2 kids were completely unharmed, he couldn't hide his astonishment. The other judges also exchanged glances, looking extremely skeptical. What's going on here? Wasn't it said that there would be violence and that survival rates would be low? Those 2 kids are completely fine. It took Li Pa a few seconds to calm down and call the other judges to check the situation of the black gold python. After that, he cast a doubtful glance at An Yang and Bai Xiaolong. "As for the 2 of you, I'm very curious about how you managed to get through this disaster and still remain unscathed." An Yang felt anxious as he was hit right where it hurt. Even though the camera had been destroyed earlier, he wasn't good at making up stories. Therefore, after brainstorming, I could only think of a ridiculous reason. Actually, when the black gold snake was chasing, we carelessly tripped, bumped our heads, and fainted. Right, Xiao Bai? An Duong spoke while whistling to Bak Tiu Lung, and she cooperated very well, continuously nodding her head. "That's right, too bad we couldn't eat it." "Oh no, I mean luckily we ran fast, otherwise we would have been eaten by it." Seeing the playful demeanor of these 2 kids, Li Fa was furious. He clearly felt that the situation was not that simple, but with the camera broken, there was no way to clarify the situation. At that moment, perhaps An Duong also sensed the opponent's skepticism, so he began to bring out his crocodile tears to act. "When that black gold snake went crazy, it was really scary. Who knows, I might be haunted for life." Hoo. "It's all over now, everything will be fine." Bak Tiu Lung patted his shoulder a few times to reassure him. These 2 were indeed playing off each other very professional. Not long after the other judges had checked the condition of the black gold snake and confirmed that it had indeed been hit on the head, leading to a coma. There were just some strange marks, as if someone had punched it straight in the face. And Duong and Bak Tu Lung were very tense upon hearing this. It was indeed the giant snake that had been punched straight in the head by Bak Tio Lung. Li Fa also seemed unwilling to pursue anything further here, so he called on the other judges to quickly notify the logistics department to handle it while the black gold snake was still unconscious. He instructed them to return first to await the results, but as soon as he turned away, Li Fa told his subordinate to disqualify the group of contestants from the swamp area for 3 years due to the use of illegal taming drugs. Just as his finger was about to touch the disqualification button on the iPad, he was suddenly grabbed by an arm. An Duong had stopped this action just in time before he fell into the same trap as in his previous life. Chief Judge, don't be in such a hurry. The surveillance camera might have recorded who that bottle of medicine belongs to. I feel like I'm the victim in this incident, and yet not only am I not compensated, but I'm also disqualified, which doesn't seem very reasonable, does it? Who knows if you guys are accomplices? This is hard to say. Li Fa still insisted on targeting An Duong, but his attitude was equally firm. If it's so hard to say, then investigate clearly whose medicine it is before concluding. Am I right? As the chief judge spoke, An Duong tightened his grip on Li Fa's wrist, causing the latter to scream in pain. My hand! Let go of my hand! Seeing the situation was not good. Several other judges rushed in to try to separate An Duong from Li Fa, but his strength was great. Even when they teamed up, they couldn't help the chief judge escape. Seeing him flustered like that, An Duong felt very pleased and continued. Are you unwilling to investigate? Or are you afraid that if you investigate thoroughly, it will expose your involvement with this medicine? Li Fa's face turned pale, taking advantage of An Duong loosening his grip. He forcefully shook his hand away. Accusing the judge is a serious crime. I see you don't want it to have the license of a fantasy beastmaster in this lifetime, right? Although threatened, An Duong was not afraid. On the contrary, he advised the other party to know when to stop if they didn't want to face an additional charge in court. Li Fa was so angry he was trembling. He originally planned to chase after An Duong to give him a beating, but suddenly there were heavy footsteps approaching. It was the defense team and Lan. They were fully armed, surrounding Li Fa, then forcibly tied him up, leaving him extremely confused. What's going on? Let me go. Afterwards, Luke Tin Hong also appeared, bringing news that the defense team of Quang La had received a report suspecting that the black gold snake was here to eat people, so they had to take Li Fa back for investigation. Li Fa was tightly bound, his anger flaring even more, and he kept cursing. Since when do your defense team have the authority to manage the personnel of the Survey Bureau? I am a judge, specifically, a master-level illusion beast master. It's a pity for Li Fa because Lu Xinghong is not someone to mess with either. For her, regardless of the opponent's rank, as long as it threatens the safety of the city, it will be managed by her team. After that, Lu Xinghong ordered her subordinates to take him away to deal with the situation. After dealing with Li Fa, Lu Xinghong turned to En Yang and said, "Thank you both for your hard work. Your friend is waiting outside. After that, we will also contact you to take your statements." The two left the examination site as it was getting late, but Lu Dada was still patiently waiting here. This girl seemed weak at first glance, but fortunately, she had just timely informed the Quang La defense team. The reason was that during the exam, when Lu Dada helped that male student prepare to leave, En Yang reminded, "The black gold snake has a smell of human blood in its mouth. After you go outside, contact the city defense team so they can quickly come over to investigate." So after escaping, Lu Dada hurriedly followed En Yang's instructions, which was why Lu Xinghong and her team quickly arrived at the scene. En Yang secretly felt lucky to still have memories from his past life. Back then, the story of the black gold snake had also shocked the media. Almost everyone knew about it. Everything seemed to have been resolved. Lu Dada politely bowed her head and thanked En Yang for saving her life today. Initially, he was hesitant to accept this thanks, but after all, in the future, Lu Dada would be the captain of the defense team. He had to take this opportunity to leave a good impression on her to be able to rely on them later. After exchanging polite remarks, Bai Xiaolong outside was feeling anxious. She had struggled in the examination all day, and now she just wanted to go home and eat. After saying goodbye to En Yang and Bai Xiaolong Lu, Dada quickly ran back to the Quanglan defense team, which was escorting Li Fa and that round Judge Wu Man away. But perhaps En Yang had no idea that Captain Lu Xinghong was actually Lu Dada's aunt. Just now she had a serious expression, but upon seeing her niece Lu Xinghong displayed a completely different face. "Oh my darling Da. Da has arrived. This time you scared me half to death. Why didn't you inform me earlier?" And it seems Lu Dada had told Lu Xinghong about what Judge Wu had done to her, so this girl had already beaten him up and promised that after returning to headquarters, she would personally interrogate him thoroughly. On Lu Dada's side, Lu Xinghong was completely not at ease about her niece. "Dada, I know you want to train yourself and don't want to rely on family connections, but everything must be done step by step. How about we switch areas with another school? Otherwise, what if you get bullied again? She's still here." Luke Dada smiled like an angel in response, making the heart of the girl crazy about her niece Luke Tin Hong pound wildly. Later, Luke Dada continued, "Moreover, Anduong has encouraged me a lot. I can't let him down." When mentioning Anduong, Luke Dada's cheeks instinctively turned red again. How could this escape the hawk-like gaze of Luke Tin Hong? Earlier, she had also met Anduong and didn't have much impression. But since he was related to her niece, it seems she had to pay more attention in the future. Meanwhile, at Anduong's house, a fierce battle was taking place between him and Bok Tiolung. The reason was that there was chicken on the dining table. But after Anduong ate one of the 5 chicken legs, there was only one left that she still wanted to compete with Anduong for, and neither side would give in. Until the phone in his pocket rang, taking advantage of Anduong answering the phone. Bok Tiolung quickly stuffed the chicken leg into her mouth. The caller was Anduong's high school classmate Daingu. In his previous life, he had dropped out of college due to a large debt at a magical pet clinic working everywhere, and finally met with an accident on the construction site. If things went as expected for Anduong, this phone call was the start of everything. Just as he anticipated, when he picked up the phone, the frantic voice of Daingu came through. "Anduong, come to the magical pet clinic quickly, he helped me. I brought a cow for a routine checkup, but I don't know why it suddenly went berserk and injured the doctor. Now they're demanding compensation from me." At this point, Daingu was interrupted by the cow's attending doctor, who grabbed the phone away. "This scoundrel is demanding that Anduong bring 100,000 before 7 o'clock, otherwise Daingu will be in trouble." Upon hearing that number, Daingu's complexion changed drastically. 100,000. Why don't you just go rob a bank? After saying that, he yelled into the phone, urging Anduong not to come because he would rather be beaten than be robbed in broad daylight. His voice was choppy, interspersed with cries of pain, clearly indicating he had already been beaten. Afterwards, the phone was abruptly cut off. Anduong knew he had to go on this trip. Daingu's cow was a magical pet, gentle by nature, and couldn't possibly go berserk. The last image of Daingu from his previous life still haunts him to this day. Shortly after he passed away, the cow also followed its owner due to deep sorrow. Therefore, in this life, Anduong vowed to protect the two of them well at that clinic. Daingu was still tightly bound to a chair by some unscrupulous veterinarians, and his cow was also being held illegally by them. After a long exchange of words, these rascals began to get anxious when they saw Anduong had not yet brought the money. Just when they were about to beat Daingu again, Anduong finally appeared. The rascals were very happy to see him and told each other to lock the door tightly. "The kid offered 100,000 before, but now you've just injured my brother and want me to overlook this. At least you have to compensate 200,000. Daingu, if you weren't tied up, you'd probably be able to struggle free by now. These damn guys are getting more and more outrageous. This amount is no different from wasting money." But contrary to his anxious appearance, Anduong seemed very calm in responding to the attending physician. He said, "Yes, if you want to settle the period of the rampage of the illusionary pet, plus other incidental fees, then this amount is very reasonable." At least you know what's right. "Today, bring the money here and we'll overlook it." "It seems there's a bit of confusion for you two. What I mean is you have to give me 200,000, Anduong said again. His words made the group extremely furious. "Are you kidding me?" Anduong didn't respond, but just then the lights in the clinic suddenly went out, and in that darkness a pair of bright eyes appeared. The quack doctors panicked once they realized this. "What's going on? Why did a huge illusionary beast suddenly appear like a ghost? The owner of those eyes is the bull of Daingu." Earlier, before coming in here, Anduong had instructed Bok Tiolung to take the opportunity to release it outside. From the darkness, the bull appeared in a combat stance, looking like it was ready to charge at any moment. Daingu feared it would pose a danger to those doctors, making his situation even worse, so he urgently called out, but the bull no longer listened to him. Meanwhile, Daingu noticed some movement behind him. It turned out Bok Tiolung was secretly untying him, and in less than a minute, Daingu was set free. When his hands and feet were freed, he rushed towards the bull, but halfway there he was stopped by Anduong. Daingu calmed down. "The bull seems very strange. It's like it's been provoked and has entered a rampage. Even if you go over there now, it won't recognize you because it's lost all reason. This is very dangerous." Daingu felt that what Anduong said made sense, but he was still very worried about his illusionary pet. Anduong reassured him a bit, saying that compared to the bull, those rogue guys were even more dangerous. "So just let it handle them." Seeing the bull go wild and with terrifying force, those rogues realized they were no match for it in this situation and ran away in chaos. The bull charged forward, and with a loud crash, the first headbutt smashed through a clinic wall. Daingyu was extremely confused by that scene, but after the shock passed, he discovered that his illusionary pet was still safe and was continuing to chase after those rogues. These guys, realizing they couldn't fight back, could only run away, even climbing up a large pole together to escape. They couldn't understand why the normally harmless bull became so strong when it entered combat mode. That column won't help them hold on for long because the bull just needs to charge once to bring that column down, taking a few rascals with it like ripe fruit. Seeing the bull charging towards them, they hastily knelt before Ondung, begging for his forgiveness. "This is your mythical beast, right? Please tell it to stop. We know we were wrong. You can ask us to do anything. 200,000? Ondung coldly repeated the earlier words. "It's too much to negotiate for 200,000. I'm a bit short on cash lately. Can we reduce it by 50%? Here's the deal. I can take nothing, but you have to agree to one condition, which is to share all internal news with me. You must help me whenever I need it." This offer was even more troubling than asking for 200,000, as what Ondung wanted was information that couldn't be made public. He had already guessed that the other party would not agree right away, so he turned away. "If you don't agree, I can't help you either. That's that." The bull was now very close behind. If it hit them, they would likely only be left with their corpses. In that urgent situation, the leader of the rascals made a difficult decision. He shouted loudly, "All right, I agree to share the information, no problem at all. Everyone will listen to you. Whatever you want, we can do it. Hurry up and tell it to stop." As he finished speaking, the bull suddenly halted. To put it more accurately, it was being lifted into the air by Ondung's control. "Since you've agreed, remember this, you surely wouldn't want to know the outcome of breaking your word, would you? You threatened the other party, nodding with your life on the line." After that, Ondung forcibly released the bull from its battle form, turning it back into a cute little cow. However, he noticed a strange scar on its belly. Moreover, the bull was still angry as the violent aura within it had not yet been expelled. Daingyu was worried sick while Ondung advised him to calm down because he already had a solution. That was to transform the raging spirit power of the mythical beast. Or the mythical beast usually needs high-level materials to comfort the mythical beast. The higher the level, the harder it is to treat the rage. This is also one of the reasons for the wave of pampered mythical beasts. Yet Ondung was able to easily subdue the entire violent aura within the bull just to turn it back into a harmless, cute, mythical beast. After their master and servant had their joyful reunion, Ondung then asked the quacks about the scar on the bull's belly. He immediately turned pale, then confessed everything. He admitted to having malicious intent towards the mythical beast, so when Daingyu brought the bull here for a checkup, he had injected it with anesthetic to make it sleep soundly. After that, he took some important organs to sell on the black market. Hearing this, Daingyu was furious, directly grabbing him by the collar, lifting him up and shouting, "You bastards! No wonder Ubo chased after you after falling into the same chaos. It turns out you did something so unethical. Don't you think about the feelings of your owner, which is me?" At that moment, Bak Tiolung whispered to Ondung that while looking for Ubo, she saw some illusion beasts locked up in the backyard and the basement of this clinic. And Duong felt that the opportunity to get rich was here. He then urged Daingyu to calm down and first check Ubo because its state of chaos would exhaust a lot of its stamina. "Leave those scoundrels to me!" Daingyu only regretted not being able to beat them up, but still obediently listened to Ondung. Now it was just him and the head of the rogue clinic left. Ondung went straight to the main issue. "All right, now clarify the agreement from earlier. You guys have been pulling these tricks for a long time. You must have hidden a lot of stolen illusion pets, right? Show me how about it." The rogue was obviously unwilling, but in this situation, he was the passive one, so he led Ondung to check the room where the pets were locked up. As he glanced over the room full of illusion beasts, Duong immediately spotted a mutated thunderbolt leopard of elite level. The veterinarian hurriedly explained that this illusion beast was accidentally discovered on the road, originally intended to be cured and sold. Unexpectedly, it was too aggressive, not allowing anyone to approach, so it couldn't be treated. Later, he even tempted Ondung to perform an operation to extract the organs of the thunderbolt leopard to sell at a good price because it was a rare illusion pet. It would be a real shame if it were to just die like this, and Duong listened. Before he could react, Daingyu rushed in to punch him. Are you worthy of being an illusion pet doctor? No, please don't hit me. Wrong, but my ability is limited. There's really nothing I can do. He quickly raised both hands to cover his face, blocking Dai Nu's punch, and then turned back to Onduong, flattering, fearing that the Thunderbolt Leopard wouldn't survive the night. If you want to find an illusion pet, I can help you find a better one. No need, Onduong replied, then approached the cage of the Thunderbolt Leopard. The closer he got, the more he felt the power that the illusion beast was releasing. The veterinarian wasn't lying. This creature was indeed very aggressive. When he was about 2 meters away from the cage, the Thunderbolt Leopard suddenly launched a very powerful attack. Those behind him were startled by this scene, but Onduong only needed to wave his hand lightly to easily neutralize the attack. Not bad, the basic energy is still there, he murmured, then reached out to open the animal cage. Immediately, the Thunderbolt Leopard that was trapped inside leaped out. It jumped very high, then in the center of the room began to unleash extremely powerful lightning. That doctor is scared to death, dodging here and there. Run fast. He shouted loudly last time we carelessly touched its electric whip and we had to lie down for a whole week. At the moment he said these words, he noticed that Onduong was still standing still, not moving at all, let alone panicking and running away. Around you is surrounded by a solid barrier, completely neutralizing the electric whip of that phantom beast. Onduong patiently waited until the electric whip leopard finished causing trouble before pulling it into his barrier. Despite your continuous reassurance not to be afraid, the electric whip leopard's mood was still very agitated. The conflict between the phantom beast and Onduong created a huge explosion right in this room. Daingu and the others stood quite far away, unaffected by this explosion, just a bit dazzled. He was very worried, afraid that Onduong would be hurt by the electric whip leopard. However, when the blinding light dispersed, they saw that Onduong was completely safe, even managing to calm the electric whip leopard down. It was just that this little guy had just desperately unleashed electricity, so it had nearly exhausted all its stamina. If this continues, it might not hold on for much longer. Thinking of this, Onduong quickly established a mental contract with it. Not long after, the electric whip leopard opened its eyes again, but now it looked like a cute stuffed animal completely unrecognizable from the earlier madness. Onduong successfully signed a contract with the mutated electric whip leopard, to the astonishment of everyone, especially Daingu. They have been friends since high school, but he didn't know when his seemingly weak buddy became this powerful. The electric whip leopard is doing much better now, because after the Phantom Beast and Phantom Beastmaster signed the contract, the Phantom Beastmaster can use their mental energy to heal the injuries of the Phantom Beast. This is originally a good thing, but Bok Tiulung has been silent until now, and now she shouted, "I don't agree!" The 3 men in the room all looked at her, only to find that Bok Tiulung was surrounded by a very terrifying aura. This is nothing difficult to explain. Bok Tiulung was just jealous when she saw her master casually signing a contract with another Phantom Beast right in front of her. "You should explain clearly, otherwise I won't care about you." Onduong found himself in an awkward situation. He was only thinking about saving the electric whip leopard, so he completely forgot that Bok Tiulung, as a member of the Long clan, has a very strong possessiveness. After thinking for a while, luckily, Onduong came up with a way. At Long Bin Snack Street, the bright lights shone and people were gathered excitedly here. The cheerful voice of the shop owner rang out, "Grilled ham hocks are here." Over here, Tiulung was sitting and glancing at Tiutu with an annoyed look. She coldly whispered closer to it. This devilish voice startled Xiaozi. "Don't touch my food." Her anger scared Xiaozi so much that it immediately jumped onto his shoulder, and Yang smiled brightly. All right. Xiaolong quickly shed tears. "I will never pay attention to the master again. Clearly it was said at the beginning that I was the only one, you fraud." And Yang looked at her like that he couldn't help but be dumbfounded. "Xiaobai, focus on recounting. Do you still remember the magical beasts from the afternoon in this time-traveling city?" Xiaolong's tears were still flowing, and Yang continued, "At that time I had just become a master-level magical beast tamer. She had just leveled up to legendary. The first time we encountered the disaster-level magical beast, it was a very ugly wild boar, and it had buried almost all the people and magical pets of that city in that afternoon's beast tide. Against such frenzied magical beasts, could the strength of the 2 of us be enough?" It seems she understood what he meant. Xiaolong hesitated to speak, but An Yang picked up a large drumstick. "Even at the divine level, didn't we still fall for that scheme?" Speaking of this, Xiaolong recalled that contemptible face. She gritted her teeth, her voice low. "That bastard Tu Lei." And Yang placed the chicken leg into her bowl. Even if I make contracts with other magical pets in my heart, you cannot be replaced, Xiaolong. Pouting, is that acceptable? Me. He thought to himself, what's more important is that I never want to see you die in front of me again. But of course, and Yang didn't say it out loud. He looked at her with a bright smile. Come on, get to know Xiao Tu. Xiaolong stepped forward to the proud leopard, saying, the master has named you Mai. From now on, I will be your boss. If anything happens, I will protect you. Xiao Tu glanced at her with a pouty expression showing disdain for Xiaolong's words. She immediately became fierce, full of anger, preparing to punch Xiao Tu. Not again. And Yang thought painfully, this time of resurrection is unnecessary. The next morning at Hongtung Vocational Academy, a hurried voice rang out. Yang quickly ran forward. He couldn't help but feel anxious. Oh no, that old man Liu, the cold-faced man, wants to come after me, huh? No way he is the guard of the school old Liu. And Yang turned to look at her. Damn it, Xiaobai is executing the plan, huh? Xiaolong immediately understood, coming here right away. She jumped up, bringing both An Yang and Xiao Tu along with her. Immediately after, Xiaolong threw him up into the sky. The strength of Xiaolong is undeniable, and just like that, An Yang successfully flew over the wall directly into the school to the astonishment of the guard. Just a moment later, An Yang landed safely. He looked over at old Liu, who was fuming behind him, unable to hide his delight. It itches. I've never been so different from before. This time I might just win back. Before finishing his sentence, Duong slammed into someone's backside, startling him with a yelp. And Dong, in pain, rubbed his nose while stammering, sorry, sorry. Mong Jiao shyly turned around. It's okay? Duong said good morning, looking at her, rubbing her backside silently, feeling distressed. Just now I bumped into Mong Jiao. Seeing him, she blushed. I didn't expect to see you here. Let's all go register at the academy. Then Duong quickly agreed. Sure, sure. Watching the two happily leave, Xiaolong secretly felt jealous. This girl is definitely doing it on purpose. In class, the teacher was passionately lecturing about illusionary pets. Common activities typically have basic, elite, and extraordinary levels. Illusionary pets at the extraordinary level are very rare. At the same time, you have to get familiar with the attributes and skills of illusionary pets. Only in this way can you nurture them long-term and stably. While focusing on listening, Dainio whispered, Today, everyone saw you enter the class with the school beauty DM. Not bad luck, huh? And Duong turned his face, smiling wryly. That luck is for you, do you want it? Behind him, Xiaolong was harboring a belly full of killing intent. And Duong quickly noticed he looked at the girl sitting next to him. Why is Xiaobai angry now? The teacher mentioned that next month the Illusionary Pet Challenge would start. The school will organize friendly competitions and inter-school battles, hoping everyone participates enthusiastically. Duong then began to think seriously, recalling that Xiaolei had said that year he and Huyan Sha defeated a group of people, easily winning the National Illusionary Pet Battle Championship for the third time. At that time, he just replied, yes, 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 out of boredom. He had said this not just 100 times already. Looking back at that time, he thought he was joking. Xiaolei was very secretive about his personal life. If you want to approach him and the power behind him, you have to start from this competition. Soon time was up. The teacher said loudly, This class is over, time's up. Dainio said, Forget it, competition again. The friendly competition is suppressed by outsiders every year to give other schools more achievements. Who would want to participate? Mong Jiao gently said, If Duong participates, then I will too. He felt touched and blushed. Mong Jiao Xiaolong also excitedly participated because of the fans, so let's go eat something good. And Duong was speechless, she only knew how to eat. At the same time, everyone was buzzing. Look over there. Lai Ten is threatening new students again. As soon as he finished speaking, a large, menacing dog stood in front. It was indeed an elite hell dog. Everyone was extremely panicked. The exit was blocked. They couldn't get out. At this moment, a person from outside also entered. That kid named Lai Tin immediately grabbed the collar of a classmate standing near him. Li Tin arrogantly asked, You who is Tom Mong Jiao? On this side, Duong is not in a hurry to show himself. He quietly observes, looking for Tom Mong Jiao. Very quickly, Mong Jiao stepped out and cautiously asked, Did you need something from me? Seeing her, he immediately let the other person go. Then Lai Tin brushed his hair and said, Great, come join my team. I heard your illusion pet is a 9-tailed fox of extraordinary level, while I am a level 6 illusion pet master. Truly a match made in heaven, no one can refuse my invitation. but Meng Jiao happily replied, "Sorry, I decline." He couldn't help but be startled, shouting, "What Li Tin is interested in me? I'll give you one more chance, think carefully." Meng Jiao displayed a cunning glint. She thought to herself, meaning she couldn't beat this guy in front of An Duong. At the same time he stepped forward, didn't he hear her decline? Meng Jiao was startled, and Duong and Li Tin were pleased, laughing mischievously, softly tying up the loose ends. "Not choosing me," he pointed at An Duong, shouting, "You mean to choose him?" Meng Jiao, feeling embarrassed, whispered, "How did you know I wanted to team up with An Duong?" Upon hearing this, Li Tin seemed like he wanted to spit blood. He was hurt, clutching his chest. Outside, a student exclaimed, "Hurry to see the battle. I heard the school boss Li Tin is challenging an illusion petmaster who is a newcomer." A friend next to him also marveled, "Who dares to provoke Li Tin?" It seemed that An Duong heard this name, and Dada was startled. Her inner voice screamed, "An Duong, amans." Just a moment later, the two were at the training ground surrounded by classmates who had gathered, shouting. One of them casually said, "Li Tin will definitely win. Facing a level 1 illusion pet master, it seems they will only be beaten." Dada worriedly added, "During the entrance exam, because we didn't use our strength to subdue the black gold snake, the assessment committee only gave us a 1-star certificate." Remembering that the strength between illusion pet masters of different levels varies greatly. Importantly, higher-level illusion pets will have a psychological suppression over lower-level illusion pets. Li Tin was excited. "This is the first time I've met someone who doesn't know their own strength like you." The follower behind cheered, "Boss, make sure to crush him." And Duong was pleased. Who doesn't know their own strength will soon find out. He thought to himself this was a good opportunity to gather resources for the kid to level up. Going back to earlier, about 10 minutes ago, Li Tin was arrogant. "Goddess Meng Jiao wants to team up with you, so you must be very strong, right? How about we have a match so I can broaden my horizons?" Meng Jiao was unhappy. "I want to team up with An Duong. What does it have to do with you?" And Duong interrupted, "No worries, go ahead and speak. If it's a competition, there should be some betting, right? If I lose for 3 years, I will serve you tea and pour water. And if I win, you guys have to give me the elite red law in your bag, how about it?" The friend behind was annoyed. "What, you know what's in our bag?" Li Tin was angry. "This brat is too arrogant." And Duong secretly laughed. Earlier, Tutu had smelled the unique fragrance emitted by the red law. At this moment, Li Tin shouted loudly, "Very good, I challenge Huyen Sung to a duel with you." Tu Lung scoffed. Another fool tricked by the master into coming back in time. At this moment, Dada was still intently observing him on the arena, and Duong petted Tutu, advising, "Tutu, just seize the opportunity." Tu Lung shouted loudly from outside to cheer, "Tutu, go for it. Let the big brother shine." Meng Jiao secretly thought that An Duong seemed much more confident than before. But how could he defeat Li Tin? Over here, Tu Lung was extremely angry. That little brat Tutu. Li Tin's dog was still glaring and attacking Xiao Tu. At this moment, the general rushed up, its eyes shining like headlights, while Xiao Tu just stood there blankly looking at the general like a little ferret. But just as the general bit down, Xiao Tu quickly jumped up. The general's gaze and its hellish aura sent chills down others' spines. Its power unleashed caused Xiao Tu to be unable to resist and get thrown out. The dog continued to attack the purple flame aimed at Xiao Tu and burned. Of course, Xiao Tu refused to be defeated by that dog. He jumped gracefully into the air, avoiding all the dangerous attacks. The people around were amazed. It seemed Li Tin's Huyen Sung was strong again. "This thunder leopard is the fastest I've seen so far, but running away is not the way. There's no strength at all. It seems he will die a miserable death," Li Tin smugly said. "I advise you to give up. I fear your little mouse won't hold out much longer." Over here, An Duong stood proudly, not showing any sign of fear. This made Li Tin a bit uneasy. What's going on? He looked completely unconcerned. Before he could finish his thoughts, the people over here began to murmur and point. "Look over there." On the battlefield, the general was currently surrounded by Xiao Tu's thunder and lightning. Li Tin shouted angrily. Shi Huyen suppressed the mental attack below it as soon as he gave the command. The general's eyes immediately lit up. Then it changed from a defensive position to continue attacking Xiao Tu, who was now turning to run away. A stream of silver light emanated from its body. Meng Jiao was anxious again. She was startled watching the match. "It's over," but Dada over here was even more panicked. Indeed, is it still too forced? The little guy was now thrown to the ground. That tiny figure seemed unable to get back up. The small leopard lay curled up unconscious on the ground. At this moment, Shi Huyen slowly approached its cold eyes, staring intently at the little one. The general seemed to want to tear apart the opponent lying still. Shi Huyen slowly bared its sharp fangs. Suddenly, the little one opened its eyes wide and stared intently at the opponent. Immediately, Shi Huyen was electrocuted, its mind spinning. It couldn't withstand it, and immediately howled loudly. The dark flames on its body gradually extinguished. The little one stood proudly, as if he had never been injured, staring at the red hound, growling loudly. Right after that, he let out a roar and dashed towards the red hound like the wind. The whole body of this little one rushed towards the opponent, crashing hard into the red hound. At this moment, in pain and grimacing, he was knocked hard to the ground. Seeing his dog defeated, Lai Tin was shocked and shouted, "No way!" After that, the red hound also transformed back to its original form. Everyone's faces turned pale. The little chick actually managed to defeat the elite-ranked red hound. At this moment, the little one ran over quickly, joyfully. And Duong patted him and praised, "Well done." He explained that the little one's secondary skill had a paralyzing effect. Although it had to make contact with the opponent before it could attack, as long as it found an opportunity to strike, it could compensate for the lack of mental suppression. At the same time, the voice of the red hound sounded full of sadness, accompanied by Lai Tin's cursing, "Useless." Lai Tin clenched his teeth and roared in anger, "Useless." At a crucial moment, it messed up the red hound. Duong was in tears. He lowered his head sadly while he continued to scold, "What do I need you for?" And Duong looked at the scene before him and suddenly understood. So that's how it was. Tham Mong wondered, what happened? At that moment, the red hound suddenly groaned in pain and then collapsed. Li Tin was startled. "General, what happened to you?" He angrily walked over to An Duong. "Surely you told that rotten rat to attack General Lai Tin." Clenching his teeth, he intended to give An Duong a beating out of spite. Mong Jiao glanced over and guessed the next situation. She anxiously said, "An Duong U Min, hurry up." But what happened next surprised Mong Jiao. She silently observed this side while An Duong quickly grabbed Lai Tin's hand. At this moment, he calmly said, "Don't be anxious." Lai Tin was startled. Why is this guy so strong? Although he had the advantage, An Duong didn't bother arguing with Li Tin. He directly sidestepped towards the red hound, gently stroking its head. The dog remained motionless. At the same time, An Duong quickly took out a golden-yellow pill from his pocket. An Duong picked it up carefully, fed the pill to the general. Li Tin exclaimed in shock, "What are you giving it to drink?" And Duong replied, "Just a candy to help it recover." He frowned, gripping An Duong's collar, shouting, "I trust your head." At the same time, Mong Jiao exclaimed, "The red hound isn't trembling anymore." Hearing her say that Li Tin couldn't help but be surprised, he turned around in confusion. "What?" At this moment, it had completely recovered. The red hound nuzzled its head against An Duong's leg as if to thank him. Li Tin watched this scene and questioned the general. "You've changed. How can you be so close to a stranger like that?" An Duong is not interested in Li Tin. He happily strokes Qi Kuyen. No need to be polite. Unable to hold back his jealousy, Lai Tin shouted loudly, "General, what are you doing?" "I am your master." Qi Kuyen was a bit startled. An Duong then said, "Don't you want to know why Qi Kuyen lost? It's thanks to you too that Qi Kuyen had the chance to exploit its weakness and win the competition." Li Tin still argued back. He angrily shouted, "What does that have to do with me?" Ignoring him, An Duong continued to explain, "The mindset of Huyen Song will affect its performance in battle. Clearly, Qi Kuyen carried the burden of wanting to win but fearing to lose. Surely every time it fights, if it wins, you'll reward it, and if it loses, you'll scold it. Over time, even a spirit-level Huyen Song cannot withstand such great pressure." Speaking of this, he thought to himself, moreover, thanks to the paralyzing mutation skill of that little Qi Kuyen, it would be strange not to win. These words were indeed very true. It seems that Lai Tin was too aggressive and didn't pay attention to it. Hearing An Duong say these words, Li Tin felt as if he had been slapped awake. He stammered, Then Lai Tin began to recount, "At first I wasn't like this. The contract could be made with the general. I was very satisfied. But they said the elite level must look the part of an elite. After each loss, he would vent his anger on Qi Kuyen with harsh words. 'You worthless thing that doesn't strive is making me lose face.' Then, recalling the sad face and the wounds after each battle, Lai Tin wondered, but is this really what I want? At this moment, he bent down to stroke it. General, I'm sorry I was too eager and overlooked your feelings. Seeing that he finally understood, An Duong smiled gently in satisfaction. He said to everyone, let's go. But right after that, Lai Tin quickly looked at An Duong and shouted, stop! The group following him immediately surrounded An Duong. You think you can just pat and leave? Tulung, be careful. He quickly took out an item. Play fair, don't forget. Li Tin handed it over to An Duong, then said, Chila is now yours. After they left, Mong Dao couldn't help but exclaim, I didn't expect that after just one day apart you'd have contracted with the elite-level Thunder Lion and even beat Lai Tin. And Duong replied stiffly, just lucky. He secretly lamented, oh no, I really want to be humble. As soon as they arrived at the bus stop, everyone was immediately attracted by a sea of announcements. On it, An Duong read, 1 week from now is the friendship competition, a 5-on-5 team match, a decisive battle for victory and defeat. It is not like the national competition. The friendship competition only involves 5-on-5 teams a match that decides victory and defeat. Huadong, usually the friendship competition is often reserved for strong teams to create momentum. Hong Tuong's opponent is Huadong School, ranked first in the region. This is the list of the top contenders in the Mongjiao region. Can't help but feel frustrated, that's why they lose miserably every year while An Duong calmly carries 2 bak ahead. This year, Huadong's consecutive win record will come to an end. Mong Jiao curiously asked, how do you know? He replied cheerfully, because I want to participate in the competition tomorrow at Hong Tong Vocational Academy. Everyone had already settled into the classroom. Over here, An Jung was wandering around dejectedly. Although Mong Jiao agreed to join yesterday, it was still not enough people now. He was thinking so hard it felt like his brain might explode. Xiaobai couldn't participate. Where would he find 3 more people? At that moment, a voice rang out, count me in! An Jung reflexively raised his hand to greet him silently, thinking, Luke Dada. She looked at An Jung earnestly. Don't forget me, you can count on me. An Jung was taken aback. That's right, why did I forget her? Dada whispered, yesterday's confrontation was really spectacular. Just now I heard you were preparing to participate in the friendly competition. I wonder if a boy and I can help. An Jung recalled that a boy from Luk Dada had a lucky charm and had helped her avoid several dangers. It would definitely be useful in the competition. Their conversation was overheard by a third person, none other than Mong Jiao. She stared at Dada, her gaze filled with irritation. At the same time, another student shouted loudly, Brother Tin, he's over there! Mong Jiao listened and couldn't help but feel nervous. Oh no, why is Li Tin's group here again? Dada and An Duong were quickly surrounded by them. She was a bit panicked. What do you all want? But contrary to everyone's thoughts, Li Tin quickly shouted, quick greet Big Brother! As soon as he finished speaking, everyone simultaneously bowed their heads respectfully and shouted, Big Brother! Li Ting rushed over to hug his shoulders. Big Brother, yesterday I took your advice and opened up to General. It was very effective. An Jung was confused. Huh? When did I advise you? Don't just call me that. Li Ting was delighted, his voice hurried. The General is about to level up. I want you to help me. Just name your price. As soon as An Dung heard this, his eyes lit up. If that's the case, join my competition team. Li Ting was surprised, and An Jung shot him a glare. If you don't agree, then forget it. I just don't have time to help the General level up. Li Tin hurriedly replied, No, I'm willing. But he secretly felt uneasy, as if he was being tricked. Afterwards, the two began to get close and chatted happily. Tham Mong Dao hid behind the bushes. Seeing this scene, couldn't help but feel angry, biting her lip. Only I deserve him. At the same time, An Dung suddenly sneezed loudly. He was a bit puzzled. Why did he suddenly feel a chill behind him? He didn't know what Mong Dao was doing. Now was not the time to think about this. Although Hoa Dong was unreasonable, his strength was very strong. En Duong was seriously calculating. Now missing one person must find someone seriously. Switching scenes at this time in the training ground, everyone had gathered here early. After hearing En Duong finish speaking, Daingu couldn't help but be surprised. Me? Am I participating too? Li Ting disdainfully said, Look at how scared he is. It's already a limit for him not to drag everyone down. Daingu replied, What are you talking about? My cow has improved a lot after being helped by An Duong. Dada looked a bit shy and glanced over at Mong Dao. This is my teammate, En Duong happily introduced. Of course, Mong Dao's strength in the Yu Min is top 1, top 2. What's wrong? Dada was a bit hesitant. No, I've also heard that Mong Dao is very good, she's praised. Secretly pleased it was time to show true strength. En Duong quickly got them settled down. All right, now everyone is familiar with each other. Next, I will talk about the rules of this competition. He clearly drew on the board. This competition is a 5 versus 5 team match based on the number of people still in the circle within the specified time to determine the winner. Li Tin raised his hand to speak, meaning it was testing teamwork, ensuring no one was knocked out of the circle. En Duong quickly replied, "That's right." Dada added, "For several years now, Donghua's strongest point has been team competitions." They coordinated very well. Moreover, I also heard that when it comes to this, she turns pale when Huyen Sung and Huyen Sung Su compete with them. They all have an obsessive mindset. Daingyu listened in fear. Is it still too late for En Duong to back out now? Li Ting glared, who just said their ability had increased. At this moment, En Duong held up the golden bone, rest assured I will help everyone. En Duong handed it over to Li Tin. This is Do Kim Kot, a material for leveling up the Shit Quyen. If the Crimson Hound bites and absorbs, don't say it's the physical body of the illusionary pet. Even the toughest armor shouldn't be a concern. He replied, "No problem, I will prepare for the general." Jung punched this silly guy hard in the head. I see you want the Crimson Hound's teeth to break completely. Li Ting still looked confused. Jung cheerfully said, "Training must start from the beginning, first practice with the white bone." Immediately after, he demonstrated for Li Tin by throwing the white bone towards the Crimson Hound. "Catch it!" Li Tin looked at his dog, learning so quickly he was also excited. "First will be the Scarlet Lotus Hellfire of Yu Min. This is its battle form." Jung said loudly, "Everyone show off your skills." Looking at Yu Min, Daingyu couldn't help but marvel, and yet he has such strength. The pressure of Yu Min's battle form truly astonishes people. After showcasing its talent, it returned to being a little fox. Jung couldn't help but be delighted. "Mong Jiao, your strength has increased again." She shyly, humbly replied, "Not really." In fact, she was thrilled inside because Dung praised her. He then excitedly said loudly, "Next is a boy, which is Dada's bird." Just as he finished speaking, a boy transformed into a large bird soaring up. Ho Chung saw this scene before him. Jung exclaimed in surprise, "It doesn't look bad at all." Then he exclaimed, "When its attack is only enough to make Dung's hair fly." A boy looked over and was startled. Dada felt a bit embarrassed. "I forgot to mention that a boy's skill isn't very stable, afraid it would make you uncomfortable." So Jung quickly replied, "It's fine, take your time." At the same time, Daingyu's panicked voice rang out, "Everyone get out of the way!" His illusionary pet is agitated continuously, charging up. Daingyu gradually lost his cool. "Calm down now. Who can help me take the red door down?" Dung saw this scene and couldn't help but panic and shout, Oh my God." The scene gradually became chaotic. Dung turned pale, feeling exasperated. What kind of situation is this? Over here, Daingyu was still helplessly shouting, "Calm down!" At this moment, a strange voice sounded, making Dung confused. "Classmate, can you help?" Our male lead turned his face over and was frightened by what he saw. Then the other person asked, "Are you Dung?" "The reason you look petrified is because he is too tall. You feel like you're talking to a pillar." Dung's mood suddenly became gloomy. "May I ask what is the matter?" The young man said again, "I see you can guide my illusionary pet, the fierce horse. Would you mind helping?" Dung stammered in response. "Of course not." He silently complained, "If I said I mind, I'm afraid you would just snap my neck." He joyfully clasped his shoulder. "That's great. This place has a distinctive medicinal smell as soon as you step in." Upon seeing the illusionary pet, Dung broke out in a sweat, awkwardly said, Is this the fierceness you mentioned?" The rabbit named Wee Main looks like a toy doll. Its shiny eyes looking at Dung seem very pitiful. He seems to be someone who loves Huyen Sung. Isn't my Wee Man very cute? Every time I see it, I feel like I'm about to bleed from my nose because it's so cute. In Dung's mind, the image of Little Lung, the owner, suddenly appeared, and he struggled. If it's cute enough to bleed from the nose, then that's it. Seeing Dung acting strangely, he asked in surprise, What's wrong with you? Realizing he was a bit distracted, Andung waved his hand. I'm fine, keep talking. The young man recounted, I don't know what happened to Uiman these past 2 days, but its limbs are stiff and it's convulsing. The school doctor didn't even do an examination. Having said that Uiman had muscle spasms, he held his hand tightly. I just want to see if you can figure out what's wrong with Uiman. At that moment, the doctor walked in. Why are you here again? Didn't I say it was just simple muscle spasms? He looked dejected. But I massaged it the way you said, and it had no effect at all. The doctor replied, then massage it more. If there's nothing else, don't come back again. I'm very busy. Anjung disdainfully exposed, yeah, very busy is playing cards on the computer fun. He was startled. What are you talking about? Growing angry, the doctor tried to find fault. You guys don't have the right to ask me anything when you come for a checkup. Anjung pointed at Uiman. Then please take a look at this Huiyan Sung for me. The doctor, with no other option, placed the stethoscope on it. You can tell me to check as many times as you like. The heartbeat is normal. It's just muscle spasms. Poor Uiman. At this moment, couldn't help but tremble its mouth, couldn't help but foam at the mouth. Anjung observed quietly, noticing the white foam at the corners of its mouth convulsing as if it had food poisoning. Seeing him sly, intending to inject something into Uiman. You were startled. What are you doing? The doctor arrogantly said, Hey, are you the doctor, or am I the doctor? Step aside. He injected the drug into Uiman, casually saying, What do you understand to be here making a fuss? Just wait, injecting a sedative will fix it right away. As soon as the injection was made, suddenly Uiman's eyes changed. It became fiercer, then fluffed up, and the doctor became the first victim of Uiman, getting bitten hard on the finger. He screamed in pain. You looked at Uiman's expression and couldn't help but be surprised did its eyes turn green. He looked at his Huiyan Sung with concern. Uiman, Anjung, what should we do? Seeing the situation was not good, Andung stepped forward. Don't be afraid, hang in there, it'll be okay soon. Then he anxiously said, Quickly prepare 10 grams of Tu Lin Tao, 1 piece of Tui Kui Tin Thek, 3 roots of Kui La Dang. The doctor was startled. Okay? After a long while, Uiman showed signs of recovery. Its face also looked a bit more relaxed. The young man couldn't help but ask you worriedly, Anjung, what is wrong with Uiman? Anjung explained, It's not an illness, it's an overdose of medication. He thought to himself that this medication was called Dream Heart. It could activate the power of illusory beasts, but taking too much would cause the illusory beast's eyes to flash green contract and go crazy. As far as Anjung knew, it had been a hot item in the black market, but had Dream Heart started being used this early? He scratched his head confused. It couldn't be. The amount of food and medication my Uiman consumes is strictly chosen by a nutrition expert. You were surprised, medication. He recounted it correctly. I brought Uiman here for the nutrition staff at the training hall to train him. It was he who also formulated the medication. Anjung explained, First, stop the food and medication of that person and let Uiman take a pill every 3 days. Just keep feeding and watering him as usual. He patted his shoulder, reassuring him that Uiman would recover quickly. If there's nothing else, I'll take my leave. The young man paused. Wait a minute. Afterwards, he was extremely happy, thanking you a lot. Anjung, if you ever need anything, just let me know. You blushed, feeling overly polite, almost unable to breathe. So when it was all done, Anjung walked home alone again. His head was filled with confusion. In his previous life, this medication was banned due to its severe side effects. This training hall must have harmed quite a few illusory beasts. At the same time, a strange bird suddenly appeared in the sky. Anjung curiously looked up. As soon as he saw it, he knew this was the illusory beast of Trio Hien. Scene transition. At this moment in Hoadong School, the surrounding scene was extremely quiet. Over here, Trio Hien led the group. He looked at his watch and couldn't help but wonder why Fang Fong was going around with Hong Tong. The 2 young men behind laughed. If those guys knew how to fight us, they'd probably be scared to pee their pants. Fang Fong is too cautious. What is there to worry about with that trash Hong Tong? Trio Hien smiled slyly. This year's competition is best to have something new for me and Thang Fong to play with. Over here, An Duong has gathered everyone, and he begins to lecture about the strengths and weaknesses of the opponent. First is Thang Fong from Trio Hien, who likes bloodshed. A low-level blood pet that doesn't die when confronted is considered useless, no exceptions. You all know here that the power of Hoa Dong doesn't need me to elaborate further. Li Tin gritted his teeth in anger. That's because I didn't participate last year. If not, how could it be their turn? And Duong smiled brightly. I really like this confident look of yours. So the forward position is assigned to you. He suddenly smiled wryly. Am I supposed to take the first match? Everyone looked at him fearfully and teased. Cool, right? Bye. After 3 seconds, En Duong said, everyone has a basic understanding of each other now. Next, we will proceed with a week of concentrated training. Let's stop here for today. Time really flies. In the evening, Xiao Liu was busy cooking, and the ordinary food created extraordinary flavors. An Duong here was also diligently showcasing his skills. High-quality ingredients only needed simple cooking. He meticulously kneaded the dough. His unique skills made Qila warm and enthusiastic, releasing a fragrant aroma. Finally, it was done. An Duong wiped the sweat from his forehead and looked at his achievement with satisfaction. Shortly after, Xiao Liu brought out a bowl of food. An Duong looked at his blood pet and gently said, Come here, you seem very scared. Its smooth fur was now standing on end. An Duong introduced the bowl of food. A high-quality dish filled with love, isn't it very touching? He looked at Xiao Tu like a demon. Although it looked a bit ugly, the effect was very high. Xiao Bai quickly help him. Xiao Lung proudly replied, Yes. It looked at the bowl of soup and cautiously backed away. Xiao Lung then said, Little one, I suffered much more than you did back then. She fiercely pinched Xiao Tu's mouth, forcing, Come on, drink it obediently. Xiao Tu looked pitiful, seemingly very excited about the soup, its electricity crackling throughout the room. And of course, this also affected the surrounding houses. Why did the power go out? The sound of shouting echoed through the night. I was just pulling the card. What are you doing with the electric general? Damn it, whose house is this? Andreo grabbed a pillow, rubbed his eyes, and came out. What are you doing in the middle of the night? And Duong stood smugly watching the transformation of the blood pet with satisfaction. And Trio couldn't help but be surprised when he looked at her. Over here, the little leopard had transformed into its battle form, and its level had also risen to 3-star elite. She couldn't help but feel dumbfounded. The little one broke through so quickly. What did he do? He held the little leopard in his arms while explaining that he was preparing to take the little one to participate in the competition with Hoa Dong. Over here, Xiaolong couldn't help but feel jealous. She pouted and scolded, New love, old love. And Triu then said, Isn't the first place in the Hoa Dong area? That's the seed team. They represent our district in the competition every year. He looks at her and smiles happily. You can't miss cheering for me when the time comes. Maybe I will excel, right? She pretends to be annoyed. Fine, I want to see how you will have to concede. And Duong secretly feels pleased using this opportunity to close the distance. Brothers are indeed worthy of themselves. Next is a week of training for you. The group of fantastical pets had to undergo rigorous training. Time quickly passes, and finally the day of the friendly competition arrives. The referee stands above and calls out, Welcome to the friendly competition between Hoa Dong and Hong Tuong. He quickly introduces, first welcoming the Hoa Dong team to the stage. Inside, Trio Hien leads the way with his teammates stepping out. On his side, there are also all elite faces selected rigorously to come to this competition. As they come out, the audience cheers, Hoa Dong, unleash your talents. The referee then continues to introduce the next team, which is the Hong Tuong team. In stark contrast to the booming spirit of Hoa Dong over here, everyone on his team yawns and looks dejected. No need to say, as soon as the audience sees them, they laugh and mock. What kind of team is this? A ragtag army. They dare to look down on their own master. Tiulung is unwilling. She also grabs a bright red cheering banner, straining her neck to shout, Hong Tuong, extraordinary abilities. And Trin looks over and can't help but smile bitterly, not knowing why he feels so embarrassed. Back on the field, everyone quickly comes out to get acquainted with the opponents. The referee then continues to hold the mic high, loudly inviting the captains of both sides to shake hands. Truhian disdainfully responds, I don't think it's necessary. Handshakes are only for teams of the same rank. And Duong does not get angry. On the contrary, he calmly replies, What a coincidence, I think so too. And just like that, the hostility from both sides continues to radiate. After a while, the referee says, Both teams, please go to your fighting preparation area. He starts introducing, this is the one who led the Hoa Dong team to achieve 12 consecutive wins, known as the Hunter. Below, the female audience cheers happily, "Captain Trieu Hien, I love you." And Duong looks at this name and silently thinks, the strategy of Hoa Dong is to prioritize victory. As for the others, there follows a series of introductions of other members of the Hoa Dong team. Tiu Lung looks anxious. Why hasn't it been our turn to be introduced yet? The group of Master the On responds, "Look, it seems like it's coming." But instead of being introduced grandly like Trio Hien's side, everyone only gets to show their name. Little Lung looked confused. "What is this?" And Trung replied, "There isn't even a photo." The referee then said, "The documents provided by Hong Tong are just this, and there is also a record 6 losses, 2 draws, including 4 humiliating defeats, and 2 forfeits. On this side, the summoned beasts of your group seemed no different than children's toys." The audience couldn't contain their anger. Why did they find such an opponent this time? There is no excitement at all. I paid for the ticket and it's not even as good as watching at home. The rules for this competition start with no restrictions. The competition time is 20 minutes. The team with more summoned beasts remaining in the fighting area while also having combat ability will win. Trieu Hien stepped forward to remind everyone, "Remember, we don't need them to leave the ring. We want them to die in the ring." At this point, a dark shadow flickered in his eyes. After both teams were ready, the referee blew the whistle, signaling that the competition had begun. The temper of the summoned beasts over there was as unpleasant as their owners. As soon as the starter was announced, the group immediately soared up aggressively. The summoned beasts quickly transformed into their combat forms, looking equally impressive. First up was Umbo, which was clashing with the Guillotine from the Huadong team. Initially, Umbo seemed to be at a disadvantage. It charged in and was quickly slapped by Jia Tian. After that, the large Umbo from the Undung family was stunned and fell flat. Daingu watched in horror, shouting, "Umbo Jia, Tian is determined to chase you down and kill you." It didn't give the opponent any time to rest and charged forward again. But at that moment, the general also charged in, biting hard at its front head. Ma Fong was furious. He shouted loudly, calling his summoned beast Han Chum up, while Trio Hien maintained a disdainful expression. "You don't know your own strength." The frenzied wind exploded, and Han Trum immediately shot his sharp needle towards the General Shik Quyen. Our side looked on in fear, and suddenly a spiky ball rolled through from somewhere, making the general scream in pain, "The hedgehog!" Then it launched a fierce attack. In an instant, the general had fallen, shifting its target of attack. This time, Tiu Tu will be fighting Han Trum, while Umin and a boy on this side are preparing to attack. Thang Feng, despite facing 2 opponents, was filled with confidence. A casual glance reveals that the referee is very biased towards Trieu Hien. He smiled cheerfully and said, "No wonder it's Dong Hua, such a perfect coordination." Li Ting was somewhat worried. "If this continues, we won't be able to hold on much longer." Daingu shed tears for Umba, but it seemed everything had been anticipated by Anjung. He calmly said, "Don't worry, let's proceed with Plan B." In the audience seats, Little Lung reassured, "Don't worry, the master won't get into trouble." Anchung also couldn't help but feel uneasy. Let nothing happen. Tro Hien sneered, "Trash is just trash, stop playing and end it." Tai Hung pretended to be sad. "That's right. My stuff isn't even hot yet, and they've already fallen down." The referee couldn't hold back anymore. The match had only been going for a few minutes, and truly no one could stop Truong Donghua from winning continuously. At this moment, Sao Ubo and General, despite being injured, still tried to stand up. The referee said again, "Get up!" Then Hong Tuong once more, "Get up!" Right after that, the general carried Tio Tu on his back, madly charging towards the opponent. Seeing the general running towards Jia Tian, the referee became excited and continued to rush forward. This time, he was still knocked down, or he would risk it all once again. Seeing this situation, Hoa Thu also shouted loudly at that moment, "Jia Tian, hurry up!" Following the master's command, it immediately opened its mouth and roared loudly, releasing a massive force aimed straight at Chi Kuyen. But this time, Tiu Tu quickly rushed up, blocking in front of the general. It used its small body to fly straight up to Jia Tian's head, striking the opponent's eyes. The referee watched the scene in awe, yet Jia Tian was blinded. Electricity surged from Tiu Tu's body. It painfully let out a loud roar. At this moment, Daingu also seized the opportunity. Ubo charged up. The Jia Tian was struggling from the previous jolt, not yet regaining its senses when Ubo charged in, forcefully sending the opponent flying far away. The referee couldn't believe his eyes. How could Jia Tian be knocked down? Chitu was trembling with anger. It couldn't be. No one could knock my Jia Tian out. They must be overturning her. Anxious, she grabbed Zhao Hian's hand. "What should we do?" he replied nonchalantly. "Don't worry, this is just a small note. It won't change the outcome. Jia Tian has been eliminated. There are only 4 left on the enemy side." The referee announced again, "Jia Tian of Huadong has been knocked out of the arena." Was it a mistake? The audience couldn't help but buzz. Is there something wrong with my eyes? Jia Tian was knocked out by a cow. Is it fake? What kind of skill does the program really have that On Duong remains calm about? He secretly smiled, thinking soft ties bind tightly, recalling the friendly match days ago. He had told everyone that the opponent's disdain was our best tool. After we launched, they would immediately attack quickly to end the match. So during the first attack, we will prioritize breaking their defense. After that, the poor Yubo had to go through a practice that made it cry. Dai Ngu at that time said sadly that Ubo was about to collide and crack its head. But On Duong said to knock out Jia Tian, Ubo must be leveled up to level 6. Coming back to this moment, Zhao Hian clenched his teeth. However, in their pitiful state, let's give them a little leeway. He then seriously told his teammates that enough joking around, let's quickly finish the match. And so the master of the illusory pet on this side coldly ordered the beasts to be killed, immediately charging forward with great momentum. The shadow beast that just landed caused the ground to shatter, and the general was sent flying away. The bull on this side was similar, their bodies now covered in wounds. The referee reported again that the bull of Hong Tuong had lost its combat capability and could not continue fighting. The score between the two teams is now tied, and the spectators are amazed, having quickly eliminated one truly impressive from Huadong. Eunjung quickly glanced at the 2 girls. It was Yu Min and Aboy's turn. On this side, Han Trum continued to launch her Kim, while Aboy was also flying up to approach the target. She flapped her wings vigorously. This counterattack is called Lang Li Dong Fong. Immediately, a solid barrier was created around that area. Eunjung was surprised. A protective shield. Did the audience also use the illusory pet Bok Lin with such powerful techniques? Tiulung replied that she was trained by the master anyway. Seeing the situation was not good, the Huadong side immediately shouted for Han Chum to retreat, but it seemed too late. The bee was knocked to the ground, sprawled out. The audience was startled and discussed what was happening. Is this year's competition that thrilling? I'm here to see Huadong wipe out the opponent. The anxious feeling in her heart continued to command the shadow beast to attack. Just as she finished speaking, the hedgehog rolled towards the boy. The poor little leopard was hit and flew out. The referee announced there were 5 minutes left. Now the number on the field is tied at 3. Lightning reported that Tu was out, and at this moment On Duong smiled smugly, secretly calculating how to counterattack. Then recalled his lecture. We endured 15 minutes of Huadong's attack. If nothing unexpected happens, the opponent will win against Fong Cao Cao. The Shadow Beast has an important mission in restraining Fong and Am Do assigned to Yu Min to remember. Must separate Fong and its team member. Meng Dao gazed at him fascinatedly. No problem. At that moment, Li Tin also eagerly spoke up. Leave Cao Cao to the general. Returning to the present, the Huadong side shouted loudly to command, Cao Cao, stab it to death. And just like that, the hedgehog lunged into the belly of the red dog. But it, according to what it learned, tightly embraced the opponent. So both of them charged out of the outer circle together. The commotion continued. What was happening? Huadong was out again. Li Ting was pleased. Tu did not get out just like that. It was to make that rotten hedgehog wildly charge. He was so pleased he was practically puffing out his chest, looking at how well his boss analyzed things. Eunjung looked on with a bitter smile. The referee above spoke of a very good strategy. There are 3 minutes left in the competition. The 2 remaining illusory pets of Hong Tuong can defeat Fong and Am Do. Hong Hian clenched his lips. The 2 inexperienced ones can handle Fong on their own. But Eunjung remained calm. Yu Min's success or failure depends entirely on those 2. Over here, the winning Fong wildly flew up to attack the opponent. It used Hong Fong Vu to strike fiercely. Hong Tong seemed to regain momentum. Meng Dao shouted loudly, Yu Min, very well done, roast that mouse. The little fox obeyed its master's command and quickly chased the mouse. Amdo was startled by reflex. Thai Hung looked on with disdain. Do you want Amdo to be injured? Still too inexperienced. The referee continued to lead the program. Amdo quickly dodged Ho Hua's attack by swiftly digging a hole. Over here, Dada hurriedly commanded her illusion pet. A boy the bird immediately understood its master's intent. It frantically unleashed its power against the opponent, and thus Yumin's fire combined with a boy sealed all the openings that Amdo had dug. A boy Bak Ling adjusted the flight direction of Hohua as expected. Amdo could not withstand the heat and had no way to escape and was burned by the fire. The referee announced that Amdo was unable to continue fighting and was eliminated with the score between the two teams being 2-1. Time's up, the competition has ended. Hong Tong defeated Tu Lung and Un Trung joyfully embraced each other. She couldn't help but praise her brother. "You are so cool." Treo Hien was so proud, but at this moment he was defeated. He was bewildered, trembling, unable to accept it. Treo Hien, his face full of veins from anger, shouted, "I can't lose!" Thang Fong commanded, "Kill them!" The bird immediately obeyed its master, diving towards a boy as if to devour it whole. The audience couldn't help but suddenly shout, "Look! Thang Fong continues to attack!" Dada was worried to the point of tears. She couldn't help but scream, "A boy!" At the same time, An Jung quickly intervened in the battle, his spirit power at the level of a guardian, suppressing everything. Seeing Thang Fong being blocked, Mong Dao immediately took advantage to charge forward. Yu Min, a good opportunity, the fox aggressively lunged at Thang Fong. The bird was startled, but at this moment it couldn't run away anymore. And just like that, under Yu Min's pressure, Thang Fong was knocked down. Treo Hien sat stunned on the ground, unable to accept, "I've lost." And the guy above was extremely angry. This was the outcome that the school had guaranteed to the judges. The principal was worried. Boss, let me explain. They said Thang Fong would handle them, didn't they?" Ma Fong also angrily replied, "Isn't it because someone wanted to play? Now look defeated by a group of useless people." Treo Hien seemed to go crazy. He shouted loudly, "Shut up! What do you know?" And remembering what the principal had said, "Winning this competition, the head of the judging committee will let you represent us in the National Illusion Pet Competition. I believe you can do it." At this moment, he feels extremely regretful. Just as he finished his thought, an annoyed voice rang out, "Treo Hien." He was startled and looked over, unable to stop the sweat from pouring out. He gritted his teeth and lowered his head in fear. "I'm sorry," Principal Treo Hien said again. "Please give me another chance." "Next time I will definitely," he shouted. "You have completely lost the face of Hoa Dong." The principal was furious. "As for the review, your position as team leader should also change." As soon as he finished speaking, he coldly turned away, leaving Treo Hien trembling behind. The principal is useless yet arrogant, but at this moment he feels hatred towards An Duong. "It's all your fault." The audience quickly left after the match, feeling extremely disappointed in Hoa Dong today. Li Tin joyfully said, as expected of the boss, clearly predicting their actions, "Look, this is the power of the little guy." Dine Gu confusedly asked, "How did it become you being powerful?" Li Tin was still pleased. "Being able to grab the big boss's thigh makes me powerful." Dada blushed. "It's lucky that we have you this time, otherwise we wouldn't have been able to win against Hoa Dong. I hope we can compete together again next time." En Duong looked at the two girls with bright spirits and couldn't help but smile bitterly. Of course, Xiaolong and Meng Jiao usually bicker, but right now both of them have equally pouting and gloomy expressions. Looking at Dada, Xiaolong couldn't hold back any longer and directly hugged him. Next time it's Xiaobai's turn to help the master. Meng Jiao immediately pushed her away while looking at En Duong with a bright smile. "I'm not weak either." Before long, the two girls were facing off against each other. En Duong felt helpless. What strange direction is this? After everyone left, it seemed like the little guy sensed something. He stood and stared intently into the distance. In the crowd, a strange man suddenly noticed the little guy over here. He held several small knives in his hands. "Don't be scared, just endure a little and it will pass." Xiaolong immediately transformed into battle form and angrily shouted. Switching the scene to En Duong, he and the others followed the crowd to the exit. At this moment, En Duong was startled. "Where is the little guy?" Meng Jiao replied. "Everyone was having too much fun earlier with so many people coming out, it seems he got lost." Li Tin quickly stepped forward, confidently saying, "Let me ask the general to find him." The hunting dog quickly lowered its nose to the ground. Instinctively, it began to sniff around, catching a scent. After a while, Li Tin said, "General, I can smell the little guy from the south." Strangely, it seems there is also the scent of someone else. Hearing this, En Duong's expression suddenly became grim, but he still tried to appear calm. "Perhaps he got lost. Everyone don't worry, go back and rest. I'll go find him with Xiaobai. Xiaolong jumped over and hugged his neck. Don't worry, I will protect the master. Meng Jiao looked at her as if wanting to chew her bones. Let them come and try. The scene shifts to a high-rise building, which is also the home of Tom Meng Jiao. Inside the house right now, clothes are scattered on the floor, and she is comfortably soaking in the hot tub with her little fox. This makes Meng Jiao feel very pleasant. Meng Jiao looks up at the ceiling, truly unable to believe it. Mingwei actually won against Huadong. She reaches for the little duck and says, thanks to Dung, the match went exactly according to his plan. Looking at the toy in her hand, Meng Jiao mutters to herself, Dung, I wonder how many surprises you have in store for me. After finishing her bath, she quickly sits down at her writing desk to write something. Meng Jiao says again, even though we won today, the opponents in the future will only get stronger. She resolves to take advantage of her time to improve her strength. At this moment, Meng Jiao pulls open her drawer, revealing a fox-shaped mask inside. Switching scenes to Dung, he has already beaten the kidnapper badly, who is now lying sprawled on the ground. Then Dung rummages through his belongings and can't help but feel pleased. Found it. Tiulung asks, what is this? Dung explains to her, this is the black market pass. Looking at that person, he realizes he is a member of the Blood Abyss organization, which operates in the black market. According to Dung's silent speculation, those kinds of drugs are very likely to be smuggled from the black market. After that, he turns around and doesn't forget to tell Tiulung, let's go, I'll take you two to an interesting place. Very quickly, both of them arrive at the location. Here, right outside, is an amusement area. Tiulung is like a child, excitedly exclaiming, wow, master, this place looks fun. Seeing her delighted, he thinks to himself that after Tiobak becomes human, she has never been exposed to these things and he will take her here to play when there's an opportunity. On the other side, the vendor introduces, today is Mask Day. The store is giving a 20% discount. After Dung enters, Tiulung is dressed in a prettier outfit. She can't help but wonder, why do we have to change clothes? Dung casually steps out and replies that when going to break things, he naturally needs to hide his identity. After the two have played for enough time, Tiulung's voice rings out, the yellow light is spreading. Looking outside, this is no different from a decorative item. Tiulung presses herself against him, but she still feels uncomfortable because the master is too cramped. Her full chest presses tightly against him. Dung silently tells himself, do not look, do not look. After that, he hands over the pass. Dung also can't help but blush. This place has a very strange structure, and the phone booth is actually where the pass is inserted. As soon as the pass is inserted, a ding sound immediately rings out, and the machinery in this room finally starts to operate. The clanking of metal sounds, and just like that, the two are taken down to the basement as if they are in an elevator. Very quickly, he and Tiulung arrive at this place. This is the main hall of the black market. Both of them cover their faces, then they step inside, observing the hustle and bustle around. Duong recalled that in his past life, many mythical beasts died tragically here. The most famous being the spiritual master Tian Pham, who had destroyed the black market. Tian Pham was determined to be a violent illusion beast. He was forced to become a tool for making money, and he was also a victim. Remembering his image at that time, a wave of sympathy surged within him. And Duong frowned, silently made a resolution, in this life, I will help you. After that, he planned to release Tian Pham. First, he must win the black market arena, but right now, the kid is not his opponent. The two continued to delve deeper inside. It seemed like he needed to gather information about the situation here. At the same time, passers-by were discussing, I heard there will be an auction for the Hung Tho skill tonight. It's not bad. Xiaolong tightly hugged his arm. Master, let's go to the auction hall. And Duong replied, sure, let's scout out the situation first. On the stage, someone shouted, everyone, we can sell things that you can't buy on the market. Everyone understood the rules by now. If you violate them, you should see where this is. The screen displayed the super product purebred Hung Tu skill with a starting price of 400 gold coins, which is essential for the dinner of mythical beasts. Xiaolong was surprised. After the dinner, she was annoyed how could they treat mythical beasts as food. And Duong reminded her not to get agitated. Let's take it slow. Below, the guests quickly shouted, I bid 500, 1,000, 2,000. The man in the white suit held a notebook in his hand. He smiled calmly. And Duong looked over and immediately knew that only VIP guests had the auction notebook. Who comes to this place is not simple. Why did he reply, "That's true. Do you happen to know where to register for Tian Pham's Thunder competition?" He observed On Duong's reaction, then casually asked, "Is it your first time here? The entrance to the beast fighting arena below is where you register, but if you want to take Tian Pham away, it's not that easy." And Duong remained stubborn. After all, it must be worth a try. It would be a shame to come here without speculating. The man found it amusing that he was so stubborn. Quite interesting, this person seems to have the task of registering. He told On Duong that winning 2 matches in 3 days would qualify him to challenge Tian Pham. During the competition, the life and death of the mythical beasts have nothing to do with the organizers. If there are no objections, just sign. He quickly put pen to paper, signing his name clearly. After signing, he took the paper, looked it over, and seemed to find him strange. The schedule for the 2 competition matches would be arranged for him tomorrow and the day after. On Duong turned to leave. No need, just arrange them for the same match. Transitioning to another place, someone quickly came in to report to the general leader regarding the upcoming competition. A fool wants to 1-on-2. The girl played with a snake in her hand, smiling lightly. Indeed, it's the first time someone dares to do that. It could bring some highlights to the competition, no reason to refuse. She instructed and conveniently took the top-tier material from the storage to create an attractive prize for other challengers. The other person bowed respectfully. Yes. The one standing on the platform introduced, "Today, our first appearance is the bloodthirsty mad demon Kim Kang. Kim Kang's best record is defeating an opponent in 20 seconds after a total winning streak of 4 times. The host introduced that today's match is a bit special. This challenger wants to challenge 1 against 2. The crowd gasped. Who would be so reckless? The crowd below buzzed with talk. 1 Kim Kang is already enough. It seems today will be spectacular. The host introduced our challenger as the elite variant Thunder Leopard. The audience could not help but gasp. An elite level dares to challenge a super level. Little Lung hid behind the young master. Is it really possible? On Dung spoke up. I believe Little Two is not done yet. The second one to appear is our all-wind singing color Dali. Everyone looked at Little Two with pity. A little leopard will definitely be killed. Blood Uyen really knows how to play. The master of Ngun Ho stepped forward. His little brother is not even enough for Dali to eat. No need for Kim Kang to move, and Dung mocked. So they are feeding 1 pot of rice together. The other guy couldn't help but laugh. It seems you can only rely on strength beneath the stage. Then he ordered his phantom pet Dali, "Tear that little mouse apart for me." As soon as the master gave the command, it dashed straight towards Little Two with a soul-snatching claw attack. Little Two took advantage of his small body, immediately soaring into the air to dodge. Little Two slowly ran along the barrier of the arena, emitting continuous electric sounds. Suddenly, its eyes fixed on Dali. It seemed Little Two wanted to probe the opponent. It temporarily stood high while the barrier below was surrounded by electricity, so Dali could not approach for now. Outside, someone impatiently said, "Coward, come down and accept your death." Even though the barrier was covered with dangerous electricity, its master still ordered Dali to go up and bring that mouse down. But at this moment, the Ngun Ho had already been jolted by Little Two's electricity. It let out a loud cry of pain. The other guy was startled. "No, quickly call Kim Kang over here." The other guy was also anxious. Following him, he looked at the snow wolf and shouted loudly, "Kim Kang, come up!" Everyone saw the light emanating from its mouth. The crowd buzzed. What's happening? Kim Kang has made a move. Those streams of power seemed like sharp spikes. Each ice dart continuously shot towards the little leopard, and at this moment the little guy still looked very calm. After looking at those things, it immediately began to condense. The guy in the green mask looked at the little guy and viciously said, "Trash wants to fight with me." His Ngun Ho continued to charge forward, wildly roaring as if wanting to devour the little guy. And of course the little leopard did not fall behind. It gathers internal strength, surrounding itself with a protective sphere from its body. A fierce surge of power immediately shoots out. Dali continues to open its mouth wide, condensing power in its mouth, and the barrier is quickly covered in ice. The kid carrying the protective circle flies straight up. He can't help but feel pleased. The Ice Path's foolish wolf shot wildly here. All of it has been transformed by the kid into the Thunder system. At this moment, he is startled and can't help but scream, "It's over!" Yang scoffs, disdainfully replying, "Now you realize it's over. It's too late." Anticipating the situation, Xiaolong takes out her glasses to put them back on. At the same time, a blinding surge of power erupts, causing everyone below to shield their faces with their hands. What's wrong with my eyes? Inside the arena, that light shows no sign of fading. Dali and Jin Kang lie motionless, tongues out on the ground, their fur singed and curled up by the kid. The two guys, along with the MC, are stunned. He stutters, holding the mic to announce, "The competition is over. Thunder has won." As the match just ended, someone quickly ran over to announce. She can't help but be surprised. What this person is General Lun. She can't believe it, asking again, Tit-Kot was defeated and taken away. The other guy lowers his head dejectedly. Yes, we didn't expect him to be so skilled. It seems he wanted to challenge Thien Pham. Hearing this, General Lun can't help but curiously ask, what is that person's name? The file handed over makes her feel somewhat uneasy inside. Could it be someone from the three major families? The staff said this is the signature on that person's challenge letter. Looking at the writing on it, General Lun is surprised. After the match ended, Yu and Xiaolong left. She holds the trophy in her hands, and Xiaolong excitedly exclaims, "Master, this thing is pure gold." And Yang can't help but be surprised. This black market is really generous. Even top-grade cot can be a prize. It's really shady. No wonder people say this is a money-sucking hole. Suddenly, General Lun puts her feet up on the table. This action makes you a bit startled. General Lun says, "Mr. Dao has misunderstood. It's just a little trick. If there's a chance, we can understand each other more deeply." Xiaolong, looking at this scene, also feels uncomfortable, silently wondering, understand more deeply? Yes, of course. Yang isn't interested in strange things. He stands up. "Sorry, I'm not interested in this. You should go find someone else." President Lang was surprised, and at this moment she switched to another approach. "I heard that you want to challenge Thien Pham." Yang casually replied, "That is indeed the case." President Lang proudly told him, "I will arrange the duel for tomorrow night." Knowing she couldn't lure him, she could only politely say, "Well, good luck, Mr. Dao." Returning to his room, Yang said, "Little Tzu, this time use the liking bone to enhance your backstab skill." Immediately, Little Tzu's form changed slightly, its body enveloped in thunder with a horn growing on its head and spikes emerging from its back. He couldn't help but feel satisfied. In its normal state, liking bone could shrink, not only enhancing the effectiveness of the lightning, but also quickly condensing a lightning ball to create an explosion. Looking at Little Tzu, he pondered, hoping this time he could save Thien Pham. At the same time, on the other side of the underground black market, a familiar figure appeared here. Meng Zhao thought to herself, the illusion scale enhances poison resistance and seems useless against Yu Min. Coincidentally, she overheard some customers here chatting. "I heard that yesterday a mutated lightning leopard challenged Jin Gang and Dali and won. This time it wants to challenge Thien Pham. Is it that powerful? Definitely cannot miss this." Meng Zhao was surprised. A mutated lightning leopard? Wow. Meng Zhao couldn't help but be curious. What's going on? The shopkeeper then explained, "On the competition side, a master came from somewhere and easily defeated our people, gaining fame. He brought an advertisement saying he wants to challenge tonight. Our underground king is roaring miss. If you're interested, you can go watch." Glancing over, Meng Zhao felt uneasy, asking herself, what is that kid doing here? Soon it was time for the match. The MC cheerfully announced, "Please welcome our underground king, who has maintained a record of 38 consecutive wins, with 30 of them being instant kills. It is Thien Pham." Finally, the thing he had been waiting for was brought out to the arena. A series of drums sounded to heighten the excitement of the match. The MC shouted, "The competition begins!" Thien Pham majestically entered the arena, appearing like a mythical beast from ancient folklore. Both quickly took to the stage. At this moment, he and the kid silently observed each other. President Lang seemed to be unable to wait any longer. She disdainfully ordered, "What are you still standing there for, Thien Pham?" And following the master's command, it began to bare its fangs, channeling internal energy for its first attack on the kid. The hidden weapons were thick and carried a deadly breath. The kid used the same old trick, rushing to the barrier of the iron cage to dodge the opponent's lethal strike. Once he regained his composure, the kid summoned a bolt of electricity to counterattack. He charged forward, surrounded by thunder, aiming directly at Tian Fan. Faced with the power of the kid, the large beast was surprisingly frightened and had to retreat. Everyone couldn't help but marvel and discuss, "Am I seeing things?" How did Tian Fan evade the attack from that small leopard? Not only did he avoid the attack from Tian Fan, but the kid also counterattacked in a short time. What's so terrifying about this? It's just a hybrid leopard wanting to deal with a spiritual pet dreaming. And of course, Tian Fan is not just a name. It gathered internal energy again, preparing to attack the kid once more. The small leopard quickly set up a protective circle for itself, and at this moment it seemed unafraid of the attack. Indeed, Tian Fan's power passed through without harming it. And Yang couldn't help but be secretly pleased after the kid leveled up his agility and defensive skills improved significantly. Over here, General Lun remained calmly enjoying the match and coldly said, "The playtime is over." Just then, Tian Fan's gaze immediately turned red. Its power unleashed rapidly, forming a cage that fell directly over the kid's head. The small leopard tried to run but was surrounded on all sides, leaving it no way to escape. From above, Tian Fan fiercely looked at the kid as if about to swallow the opponent whole. Meanwhile, General Lun was very pleased, confidently saying, "It can be finished now." Tian Fan roared and rushed towards Anyang, intending to attack him right after. As soon as it spotted him, it immediately hugged the kid down to dodge the blow. Tian Fan did not let up. It viciously bared its fangs and claws towards him as if threatening. Noticing his spiritual pet trembling though his back was scratched, he still gently comforted it. "I'm here, no need to be afraid." Seeing the situation seemed tense, Xiaolong quickly followed her master. His voice trembled, seemingly due to pain. "I'm fine, I still have to save Tian Fan. Its nature is not bad." Xiaolong looked at her master like this, unable to hold back her heartache. Behind Anyang, at this moment, a loud roar suddenly echoed, startling him. And Yang quickly looked over to Xiaolong. "Xiaobai, be careful, its claws are coming down." Xiaolong could easily block it with a single strike. Two horns quickly sprouted from Xiaolong's head and small scales appeared on her face. Xiaolong glared at Tian Fan. "Little lion, I will be your opponent." After saying that, Xiaolong immediately soared into the air, actively attacking. Seeing her momentum, Tian Fan was a bit scared. Just then, Xiaolong also immediately transformed into the shape of a dragon. "Master, the battle isn't over yet." The onlookers at this moment were still running for their lives. They simply couldn't withstand this aura. The guards appeared somewhat frightened. "Boss, let's go. Tian Fan has gone crazy." General Lan was annoyed. "Useless wasting so many evolution materials of mine." She regretfully looked back, thinking, "Oh well, another waste of time nurturing another one." But at this moment, the situation unfolding before General Lan left her almost in shock. The audience below couldn't help but exclaim, "That's Xiaolong." At this moment, she had transformed into a majestic dragon. And Yang instructed Xiaobai to use dragon pressure cannon to suppress Tian Fan. Hearing the master's command, Xiaolong immediately opened her mouth and focused her internal strength. Then she blew hard with her mouth wide open, successfully suppressing Tian Fan. Faced with Xiaolong's momentum, Tian Fan's anger gradually dissipated. Not stopping there, Xiaolong bent her body and continued to prepare for an attack, and of course Tian Fan was not willing to back down. Even knowing he was at a disadvantage, he still charged forward. Xiaolong's eyes widened and the gem on her forehead suddenly emitted light. Both were currently engaged in a tense battle. Their momentum was extremely vigorous. Boss Lang smiled smugly, a sinister plot emerging, and yet it was the legendary illusion of the white dragon still in its growth phase. "If I offer it to that great person, it will definitely allow me to return to the imperial capital." In the air, Xiaolong continued to gather her strength, preparing for a full attack. Tian Fan, the shadow beast, was temporarily under control. It growled in frustration. Xiaolong anxiously said, "Master Longshan, we cannot imprison Tian Fan for too long. You should consider that Xiaobai's level is not what it used to be. If Tian Fan continues to go wild, both will suffer casualties." Immediately after, the kid used his skill to connect spiritually with the summoned beast. The beast also sensed that its mind was being attacked. It gritted its teeth, struggling, while on this side, a sudden pain shot through his chest, causing Anyang to kneel down. His gaze was now marked by sorrow. That was Tian Fan's memory. In that memory, the poor beast was tortured in various ways. Useless how much time was wasted to win this remedy that couldn't be exchanged for another. Increasing the concentration and quantity to promote its level. At that time, it was extremely lonely and afraid. Tian Fan did not understand why it was treated that way. Living in a harsh environment for a long time, Tianfan gradually changed without realizing it. Both its eyes and mouth seemed to be bleeding, and the sorrowful expression gradually became apparent. It stood in front of Anyang, exhausted, panting heavily. Tianfan bowed its head before him. Anyang looked at it, and his heart suddenly felt pain. Just like that, Anyang couldn't help but reach out, and it momentarily stared blankly at him. Tianfan couldn't believe that it would be petted one day. Anyang gently removed the mask. "You must have been very scared just now, right? Don't be afraid, we are here to save you." A wave of warmth surged in Tianfan's heart, and the ferocious beast shed tears. Seeing it stand still to let him pet it, the audience couldn't help but be amazed. A spiritual illusion beast that was once fierce had calmed down. "Who is this person?" Up here both closed their eyes. "Tianfan, the contract today will allow me to take you out of here." Boss Lang was anxious. He was about to make a contract with Tianfan. "Stop them!" The bodyguards pulled out their guns and wildly shot towards Andung. "But of course our little Lung won't let that happen." She glared in annoyance, and then little Lung angrily swung her dragon tail towards the crowd, causing them to fall over in chaos. President Lun couldn't hold back and took action directly. She quickly pulled out her gun from her coat. Damn it, little Lung immediately displayed her might. She quickly moved in to block that sharp-tongued woman. With a flick of little Lung's tail, President Lun was sent flying like a leaf in the wind. After signing the contract, Andung didn't linger any longer. "Little Bok, we should go." She immediately obediently complied. Little Lung coiled her body, preparing to transform her gentle arm, reaching out. Little Lung reached out and caught Andung. The scene was exceptionally beautiful, and he happily looked at the tiny thin Pham on his shoulder. Not bad, it was worth it. At this moment, President Lun was still unconvinced. She struggled to get up, shouting loudly, "Stop!" But at this moment, President Lan's expression seemed to show a bit less smugness. "Mr. Dao, it's a coincidence to meet again." Immediately, more than 10 people in military uniforms, armed, rushed in aggressively. President Lan gritted her teeth, looking past that crowd, shouting, "Defense Bureau!" And the people from the Defense Bureau immediately captured her that night. "Hurry up! Be a bit more obedient!" President Lan was handcuffed angrily, gritting her teeth. "Don't touch me, I can walk by myself, yay!" The press and paparazzi, not knowing how they ended up here, couldn't help but be excited. "This is big news." Anjung thought to himself, indeed, the script from the previous life was repeating only. This time, the fate of Thien Pham had been altered. Over here, she laughed maniacally, screaming, "Dao, you betrayed me. I will find you to settle the score sooner or later, Tin Hong. Move ahead." President Lun Wright, "I advise you to save your strength for the interrogation room. You'll have a chance to talk to President Lun. Damn it." After that, Tin Hong reminded her people, "Everyone watch your step." Among the bustling crowd, Tin Hong's gaze swept past them. Anjung she immediately recognized, but was also very surprised. "Why is your friend Dada here?" But at the same time, a team stepped forward to report, "Captain, all 6 employees from the black market have been brought in." Tin Hong immediately replied, "Okay, I'm coming right away." Then she hesitated, looking in the direction of Andung earlier to find him, but saw him nowhere. All she could see were masked people. Tin Hong couldn't help but be surprised. "Did I see wrong?" Little Lung recounted, "When the master was injured, I only felt very angry. I don't know why I transformed back into a dragon." She looked at her hands after the battle. "Did I return because of my emotions?" Anjung replied, "I'm afraid it's not that simple. It might be related to race. You have a dark face, thinking in a fantasy. The white dragon illusion is the most mysterious, regarded by everyone as a tale from 1,001 Nights. If it weren't for accidentally discovering it in my previous life, Little Lung recalled, I was born in a cave. Could the secret of the race be there? You said in time it will be a few more years before we can explore that mountain." Hearing this, she couldn't help but feel excited. If Little Bai can freely change forms, then in the future there will be many things he can do. Showing it to the master, Little Lung was so happy that Anyang felt warm as well. He turned to leave. "Then the chicken leg tonight will be mine." She followed behind. "The chicken leg doesn't count." It was late, and Anyang gently opened his door, thinking he was a thief. He whispered softly, "Be quiet. Don't let little Jung know we didn't come home last night." But just then, Anjung stood there like a ghost. "Let me see who didn't come home." He smiled wryly. I went for a morning run. Little Lung added, "That's right, I can testify." Anjung wasn't shy about exposing ran all night. Her gaze shifted to the little beast walking beside Anyang. Zheng couldn't help but be confused while the little Tian Fan looked at her innocently. Anjung asked again, "Is this you?" Quickly introducing Tian Fan, "This is the illusion pet I just contracted named Tian Fan, don't be scared." Both looked at each other. Their eyes were filled with indignation. The next second, Zheng immediately changed her attitude. She hugged Tian Fan and cooed, "So cute, let's hug." Yang silently smiled wryly. He pondered, "Looks like I thought too much." Surprised, Yang said that the representative from City D was going to battle, but Zhao Xian was this time's top seed, and Yang won just because of carelessness. "This man is Zhou Bang, a level ruler illusion beast tamer." He smiled brightly. Even if Zhao Xian didn't underestimate his opponent, Yang could still win by other means. According to Zhou Bang, he is much more interesting than we imagined. Li Hai asked in confusion, "Isn't he just a level 1 illusion beast tamer?" At this moment, Zhou Bang's face turned cold. A person who survived the mouth of the Golden Spear and defeated Hua Dong, he thought the guy was only level 1. "Really, I won't pursue the matter of you accepting money from Hua Dong," Zhou Bang said, making sure they heard every word. Li Hai broke out in a cold sweat. He also couldn't be patient enough to stand up, but to keep his position, he needed to know who to listen to. Zhou Bang's face remained cheerful, but his words carried a hint of malice. "The important thing is that the old man places great importance on him. He should hide some of those intentions so that he can participate smoothly in the competition." Hearing this, the guy broke out in a sweat. "Yes, yes." Returning to the present, Anyang now smiled awkwardly. "I don't plan to participate in the competition." The principal became anxious. "Why?" The guy broke out in a sweat, secretly wondering what this kid was thinking. "Are you crazy? A good opportunity like this and you don't want it," An Duong said again. "Surely the leaders know I've never seen such a grand scene. What if we embarrass our city?" Hearing that made him feel a chill in his heart. "Isn't the scene of Kim Kaosha going crazy big enough?" Koi Tian happily said, "That's true. Although I believe in An Duong's potential, but this is a national competition. He needs more training." His face was gloomy. He whispered to the principal, "Don't say any more." And Duong said again, "I feel like I'm stuck at the promotion level. If there are some training and good resources, I might be able to level up." Li Hai advised, "Student, and don't worry, there are still 2 months until the competition. The city will provide you with enough resources for you to prepare for the competition." Koi Tian thought, "A fan has mentioned it, and it's also the time for the school's outdoor practical day. I remember last year some students gained a lot of experience in that." Li Hai also said that as long as An has the confidence to participate in the outdoor practical, we will arrange it. An Duong's eyes sparkled. "If the leaders support like this, I will definitely participate." The principal continued to thank Director Lai. Transitioning scenes at this moment at Yas outdoor area, the scenery here is incredibly fresh. Everyone here is buzzing with laughter waiting to arrive. I will capture 90 illusion pets. You only know how to brag, don't you? Know if the mission is difficult? Seeing An Duong's excited eyes, Meng Zhao felt a bit sad. He is thinking of someone. In fact, An Duong's mind is constantly screaming with joy. Resource level up. I'm here. As soon as they got off the bus, someone was already waiting, shouting, "Gather!" And Duong's group walked over simultaneously, and the crowd gradually gathered in one place. Following the command of the leader, he is the instructor responsible for dividing the practical outdoor tasks and ensuring the students' safety. Within 5 days, you must explore the outdoor area by yourselves, completing the assigned illusion pet investigation. Li Tin spoke up. Have we arrived? We can only operate within the outdoor area, right? Pausing for a moment, the instructor's face suddenly twisted into a sly smile. Unless you want to die here. After hearing that, everyone started to murmur, "What? Is it that dangerous?" The Yas mountain range is one of the places where dangerous illusion beasts occur beyond our imagination. Above the sky, a strange vortex suddenly appeared, shooting out beams of red power. They have energy resources, create weapons and daily items, tame docile, mysterious beasts, turning them into our friends. The mysterious beasts in the area have been dealt with but cannot ensure 100% safety. If they encounter danger, they can call for help from the base using signal flares and positioning equipment. Each person has a mysterious beast card designating the same person in a team. Daingu curiously pointed to a card not even mentioning the location. Li Tin said, "You're making it too hard for us. I am also this mysterious beast." And Duong looked over at them. Everyone observed the situation in the habitat photo of the Hong-Cap fairy beast near the large grassland. The others continued to search in the spacious area. Li Tin thanked the leader for the hint, thinking to himself, while I could directly tell them the location, that wouldn't be effective training. However, the habitat of the Hong-Cap fairy beast seemed far from the entrance. At the same time, another person passed the Hong-Cap token over to him. What a coincidence it turned out to be Mong Dao. She smiled happily and said, "We are investigating the same type, no need to say." Mong Dao was quite pleased. She felt excited. The worlds of the two of them and An Duong finally, but the thought wasn't finished yet. The fleeting joy didn't last long. Da excitedly exclaimed, "Great mine is also the Hong-Cap fairy beast." Mong Dao's heart hadn't healed yet when Xiaolong raised her token high in excitement. Jumping and Xiaobai did the same. And so our Xiaolong became a rival to those fierce two girls. The instructor announced at that moment, "We can set off now." Xiaolong pouted, saying, "When can we have snacks? I'm hungry." And Duong was speechless. Did he think they were elementary school students on a trip? He looked after the boys back disdainfully, saying, "What is there about this kid that the leader wants me to keep an eye on?" Mong Dao said while walking, "The Hong-Hak fairy beast is a water-type magical beast, mostly living in deep lakes, requiring a very high water source." She held the map, observing the nearest lake to them in the southwest, about 40 kilometers away. An Duong calculated, first head that way, conveniently looking for a place with a water source to stay overnight. Suddenly, at that moment, Da seemed to discover something above her head. An acorn shot straight down from somewhere, falling hard toward Da. That acorn seemed to have eyes. It hit her chest, and then bounced off. An Duong worriedly asked, "What's wrong?" Da. Stammering, she replied, "It's nothing. Just an acorn fell from a tree and hit my head." He silently watched the acorn fall to the ground while Da blushed and whispered. After that, the group left. It was good if nothing happened. They continued to move forward. Throughout the journey, everyone encountered quite a few strange things, such as these butterflies. Mong Dao even used Yu Min to catch wild chickens for food, making the two girls admire her. Xiaolong Greedy didn't know how many times she had asked to eat the wild mushrooms along the way, because she was hungry, which made An Duong very distressed. The sky quickly turned to night. At this time, An Duong suggested they sleep here tonight because there was a little fox, making it easier to start a fire since it had fire-type abilities. Everyone gathered together. Da exclaimed, "With you men, we don't have to worry about the campfire tonight." Xiaolong only cared about one thing. "The chicken leg is mine." Mong Dao added, "Having someone to keep watch at night would be even better." And Duong confidently believed it would happen. Da was surprised. "Huh, is there someone else who wants to team up with us?" He chuckled softly, probably so. Thinking to himself, it didn't necessarily have to be someone from this side. The fire is still blazing, and the roasted chicken is almost done, giving off a delicious aroma. Tiulong's eyes sparkled when she saw that chicken, and she quickly said, "Tu bok, let's start eating." Everyone was busy chatting and eating without noticing the pair of red eyes in the bushes watching them. "That seems to be monkeys. This bunch of wild monkeys appears to be the ones who threw that acorn at Mong Dao this morning." As soon as they saw that the people had food, they leaped into the air, scattering around with astonishing speed. Everyone couldn't help but be surprised. "What is that?" Over here, while everyone looked up at the sky, another monkey quickly ran over to grab the food and ran away. Tiulong's face turned pale. "My roasted chicken." Not only the chicken, but also their belongings were taken away. Unjung was worried. "Oh no, they took our bag and the supplies are still inside." Mong Dao couldn't help but get annoyed. She shouted loudly, threateningly, "Quickly return our stuff!" But the monkeys seemed undeterred. They even playfully stuck out their tongues and slapped their bottoms as if to say, "Don't even think about getting your food back." Our Tiulong was extremely furious, not to mention their mocking attitude. Mong Dao was also frustrated, shouting loudly, "Damn you, Min!" Before she could finish her sentence, Tiulong rushed over. The monkeys were still sticking out their tongues and rolling their eyes, mocking everyone. They probably think these people are really stupid. But their joy was short-lived. All three of them were promptly dealt with without missing a beat. These blows came from Chu Lung's position. Just like that, all three monkeys were knocked down flat on the ground. Upon seeing Tiao Lung land, the monkeys were terrified. Coldly, she said, "Tonight, besides the roasted chicken, I also want some roasted monkeys." Looking at the fierce aura radiating from Tiao Lung, the monkeys turned pale with fear and ran away. But how could she let them off the hook? Tu's lightning quickly turned them into three old skeletons. The three monkeys were so shocked that they had to kneel down and beg for mercy. Jung-tan said, "Earlier you guys threw that acorn down, right? You also stole our stuff. If you don't apologize, it won't end well." His gaze turned cunning. "You monkeys probably have a hidden stash of food, right?" Cut to the scene at this moment in the monitoring room at the base. They had cameras set up everywhere to ensure safety. The instructor disdainfully looked at the screen. "These students are too weak. I guess I'll have to supply them with materials tomorrow." Suddenly, the security staff panicked. "Instructor camera number 377 has a problem." He was surprised. "What's going on?" "Someone needs rescue," the security staff quickly replied. "No, you come over here and take a look." Seeing Dung being served by the monkeys, the instructor couldn't help but find it amusing. Interesting, when did the fierce Mi Sun Hao become so obedient? The monkeys, battered and bruised, were still happily serving tea, pouring water. "Master, please have some tea." The instructor's face turned pale. The usual monkeys that bully students have now met their match. It quickly became dawn. After a hearty meal with the monkeys, they all fell into a deep sleep, and Duong opened his eyes with a sluggish mood. "Why is my waist sore and my back aching? Did you have a nightmare last night?" He closed his eyes and turned over. It must be due to the wrong sleeping position. And Duong vaguely opened his eyes, and right in front of him was Mong Dao, soundly asleep in the most comfortable pajamas. In a daze, Duong wasn't aware of the situation yet. He was calm, so it turned out that Mong Jiao was sleeping here. After that, he turned over to the other side, intending to sleep more, but the scene in front of him startled Duong, and Duong's inner self silently screamed, "Dada is the same, no wonder." After a while, when the memories flooded back, Duong was startled. "Wait, why are they in my tent?" He gritted his teeth and recalled angrily. "It seems that damn monkey played a trick on me, waking up because of my scream." She lazily yawned. "What's wrong, Dada?" Just then she also woke up casually, greeting everyone good morning. The atmosphere in the tent was gloomy. Xiao Lung was still sound asleep, and Xiao Bai still wanted to sleep. And Duong smiled wryly. "It's okay, my leg is cramping. If everyone is awake, let's set off early." And so they moved together. The map showed Duong said, "Follow this stream to get to the nearest lake." Just then, by the dry tree, Xiao Lung seemed to see something. She observed carefully. Indeed, in that area, the water was bubbling with air bubbles all around. Just then, a large pufferfish seemed to be lacking oxygen, hurriedly surfacing for air. Xiao Lung sat down and stared at it, her face showing a crafty expression. "Great today's lunch is you." And Duong at that moment irritably smacked the greedy girl. Xiao Lung was also slightly startled. He raised the card, "Don't eat randomly. This is a Hongkap fairy beast that has lost its herd. Eating it means provoking the Hongkap fairy beasts." After that, Duong helped lift the piece of wood that was pressing on it. Suddenly being saved, Hongkap was very happy. It wagged its tail looking at Duong as if to thank him. Mong Jiao was a bit puzzled. "This place doesn't look like the home of the Hongkap fairy beasts. Why is it here?" And Duong replied, "Perhaps it accidentally got lost. Hongkap seems to be unguarded." And Duong picked it up, then attached a tiny machine to its belly. Dada knew at a glance that the device attached to it was a locator. Duong explained, "If it is in danger, we can come to the rescue in time. This way we can quickly find their home." At this point, all three girls had the same thought. It turned out that Duong was the most sinister. After that, Duong let it go. Watching Hongkap, he silently hoped it could return home safely. They continued walking for a while. Dada happily exclaimed, "Up ahead is the lake. This beach is perfect for taking pictures. The water is crystal clear. The waves are gently lapping, and there are even shiny golden shells." Xiao Lung was mesmerized and drooling, so beautiful. "So," Dada continued, "the teacher once said this is a pearl, one of the basic materials for upgrading the water-based illusion beast. According to Dada, the deeper the water, the more pearls there are. Little Lung immediately threw her bag to the ground upon hearing this. I might be here in a hurry or because of the long distance. They didn't notice something is surfacing underwater. And Yang held the last locator device for the young red crab beast nearby. At this moment, Meng Dao was startled. Just look over there, Ouyang, hurry! From a distance, Dada and Little Lung were frantically running back as if chased by ghosts. A pack of aggressive red crabs with sharp teeth made Little Lung scream loudly, "Help!" It seemed that the school of Koi regarded them as enemies. They were determined to chase them to the end. And Yang looked on in horror. He shouted loudly, "What on earth are you doing?" Little Lung held it up casually, saying, "I just picked a pearl off its head." And Yang was taken aback. He was at a loss for words. "That's someone's breeding pearl," he explained. "The young red crab beast plus a pearl is equivalent to an adult red crab beast that has a pearl on its forehead. During its maturation, the red crab beast will combine with the pearl, forming a symbiotic relationship." At this moment, Little Tiger saw Little Lung being bullied. It immediately shot up. And Yang panicked. "Little Tiger, stop!" It listened and halted to look at him. An Yang explained, "That place is all water. Using electricity would result in a large area shock." Meng Dao added, "The fire from the underworld can't burn underwater. What should we do now?" At this moment, a little mischievous fish flew up from under the river. An Yang immediately recognized it as the one from before. The little fish seemed to be blocking its teammates. They looked at it temporarily. Little Lung couldn't help but curiously ask what they were doing. An Yang said, "Give me that pearl. I'll return it. You stay quiet here. Don't provoke them anymore." Little Lung felt sad, but listened to him slowly approaching them, raising the object high to show a sign of peace. "I'm returning this to you, the lost item of the red crab." Upon seeing her, it crazily rushed over. Seeing this scene, Meng Dao was startled, and she worriedly shouted. An Yang suddenly did something that left Meng Dao speechless. An Yang hugged it tightly. Smiling happily, he explained, "It's thanking us." Finally, the fish calmed down, and it submerged half of its body into the water. Right after that, suddenly, they jumped up onto the surface of the water. Meng Dao curiously asked, "What does it want to do now?" Looking at their reactions, and Yang guessed, "Could it be that it wants to take us somewhere?" The little fish seemed to have an instinct. As soon as it heard him, it bent down and jumped up and down in response. Afterward, they walked along the shore with the little red crab leading the way. It swam close to the shore so that everyone wouldn't get lost. On the way, Dada saw a tree with red fruits, and she cheerfully said, "I heard the instructor say that the entire Yas Mountain is filled with treasures." Over here, Meng Dao saw some crystal-like fragments growing at the foot of the mountain, and she couldn't help but exclaim, "So beautiful." Seeing the girls so delighted, An Duang said, "I think this is just a corner of the Yas mountain range. Most museums will be deep." Suddenly, in front of An Duang, he noticed something that made him freeze. In front of them was a place that looked endless. Xiaolong then asked, "Is there any treasure in this cave?" Under the water, for some reason, the pink crab shook its head vigorously. Its strong reaction made An Duang look over, and he curiously asked, "What's wrong?" Then, as if understanding its meaning, he happily agreed, "Okay, we won't go into that cave." As soon as he finished speaking, the pink crab immediately became so joyful that it jumped up on the water's surface. Meng Dao saw him distracted and curiously asked again, "What's wrong, An Duang?" An Duang said, "The reaction of this young one indicates that there is danger in the cave. Let's find a place a bit farther away to camp when the sunset approaches." It was also the moment when the pink crab had safely brought them to a location. It thanked its benefactors and then left.